I think that it should, by law, half of the NBA should be white.
Great, fine.
And the product would suck.
We are a conquered country.
Would you agree / disagree that the Make America movement, MAGA movement, is a cult?
What is a cult?
Do you know any characteristics of a cult?
I don't know, a charismatic leader that constantly lied people, and they took them out of everyday normal life and leads them towards ostracization and cutting off of family ties. Am I getting closer to describing the Democrat Party?
Do you condemn Elon Musk doing Nazi salutes?
It's very simple. It was not a Nazi salute.
Do it.
See, I have done it multiple times. No, let me interrupt you. That is a bad faith question and argument. You just did a Nazi salute. You're a Nazi. I can't believe it. Get this Nazi off our campus.
Do you know what carbon dioxide is?
Yes. You want to see it?
Okay, you can't see it. It's a chemical property.
Well, you want to hear it?
You can't hear it either.
You just did.
You cannot. No, you can't. You're hearing my voice. You're hearing the frequency of my voice. Like, okay, so you don't believe.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the following program. I am your host, Joe Neerman, a.k.a. Good Lawgic. A lot has gone down since I last popped in here. When I left here, I only just realized this now. When I left here, there was still a manhunt for his killer, and we had no idea if there would be any prime suspects ever identified. That was Thursday night. And, I think a lot of you, I think I did a poll, like how long will it take for his killer to be found? And I think the majority of you thought it would happen pretty quick. So those of you who voted in that direction, kudos to you for nailing it, because by noon the next day, they already had identified Tyler Robinson. And yeah, I mean, they seem to scrub his social media pretty effectively already. It's really hard for us to find anything on him, but they definitely seem to find the guy who's, for all intents and purposes, they got the smoking gun literally and figuratively. This looks like it's definitely the right guy for a number of reasons, some of which we'll review. But yeah, so we didn't know anything about this when I last saw you, and then by the time I was on Laid Back Law, so the whole world had heard the name Tyler Robinson. And I know some of you are saying, don't use his name, don't promote him, like you're making the world a worse place if you talk about him. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that perspective. I understand what the point is. That you don't want to give a mythical type of status to some deranged lunatic. I get it. But yeah, I don't really think I never subscribe to that for a number of reasons. To the extent that it's not like no one's going to talk about the individual. It's not like no one's going to know his name. A lot of people, I don't think that people, when they imitate, it's because, well, first and foremost, you have to understand that assassination is a really different mindset from mass murderers. They're both deranged psychos, but it's a different type of derangement. And while I would think that when it comes to mass murderers, it certainly seems, not that I'm, an expert criminologist that I can tell you what the exact psyche is, but I've circled the sun more than 50 times now. So I had a chance to sort of look around the block and just pick up a couple of things along the way. And one of the primary distinctions is that mass murderers as a group tend to be seeking publicity. So there, I can understand saying don't say the guy's name because you're helping inspire other would-be mass murderers to believe that they are going to have their name in lights if they become notorious enough to do such a vile act of evil. In stark contrast, I sort of look at the assassin as a very directed type of anger. You sort of need to work very hard to assassinate a particular individual, and it's a very directed type of anger. And I don't think that I can't tell you it doesn't have any impact. I don't know that it doesn't, but I certainly think it's less likely to. And the distinction between everyone knows John Wilkes Booth. Everyone knows the name John Wilkes Booth, right? You all know the name John Wilkes Booth. So it's not as if there's a new psycho that comes up, right? Everyone knows the name of every assassin. It's not as if we talk about Tyler, that that's now a brand new inspiration. like I think everyone understands that if you successfully assassinate someone, folks are going to know your name. So it's not like, so all we're doing is impeding our ability to call out these monsters and their monstrous activities by saying, "Oh, we're not going to talk about that." I don't think that fixes anything. I think it feels more like a virtue signal to me. To me, it feels like it's a virtue signal, like, "Oh, you're so righteous that you're looking out for society that you won't use the killer's name." I think that's I don't subscribe to that. I don't. And you can disagree. If you disagree with me, let me know. You're free to disagree with me. I wouldn't blame you if you did. You'd just be wrong. but you can disagree with me. Anyone's free to disagree with me. That's always okay. That's always all right. So for tonight's show, what I basically have up there is a goal in case you're in the ghetto. You may not be aware of tonight's goal. So I will make you aware of the goal, because the goal is a unique feature in the YouTube chat. But I'll make you aware of it as well in the ghetto, which is if we get 15 yellows, which it translates as $10 super chats or rants, 15 of them within 2 hours. There's a video that I started watching the first couple of minutes of, which is called "You Are Charlie Kirk." And it really gave me some profound perspectives, which I think are very important. And I plan on touching on it a little bit, hopefully, if I have time, touching on it at some point. But I'm going to spend at least a half hour. It's an hour-long video, but I'll spend at least a half hour going through it with you and different takeaways, because I think it's an important thing. And I was very impressed with just the first couple of minutes that I saw. So when I find something that I feel has a unique perspective, a unique insight, that's something that I want to share and potentially expound on with you. So that is tonight's goal. We have to get 15 within 2 hours. It's a goal which, when we have a Charlie Kirk audience, we're more likely to do it, but it's late at night, and I know that depresses the overall numbers. So I don't know if we'll hit it. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so that's what's happening with that. And I got a bunch of topics I want to cover with you. I want to cover with you the FBI investigation, things that are happening with Trump, things that are happening to those lefty lunatics. We're going to spend some time looking at certain various lefty lunatics and the ramifications for some of these lefty lunatics, and them kind of freaking out about, those ramifications. And I also want to spend some time talking about Erica Kirk, the widow of Charlie, and a little time watching what she said. I don't know where I think I pulled it up. I didn't see it when I was running through my tabs here. RFK gave a very, very strong speech and gave some insight, which really helped me better understand just how impactful Charlie Kirk was. And I think as a tribute to Charlie, I think it's appropriate that I share that with you. So I'm going to try and get that whole 10-minute speech in. We're going to try to get there, but that means I'm going to have to move relatively quickly, because I know how these things go. I don't know if you talked about it or even want to, but Destiny's deranged behavior on Piers Morgan today was the definition of the problem we're talking about. He's a deranged lunatic. I have it in my queue here. I have Destiny. And you can really see what I really like about it is you can see the stark contrast between folks on the left. We tend to lump people together in monochromatic ways, which is really unfair and making us more ill-informed. And I don't like being ill-informed, and I certainly don't want to leave you ill-informed. So we tend to look at people as being like, very static type of able to lump together in a group. And the reaction primarily by the left to this particular incident really shows a lot about the very distinct differences in character and nature amongst folks on the left. And we on the right, especially influencers, especially podcasters like myself, far too often do not sufficiently account for that distinction. And where we're seeing that distinction really begin to sparkle in ways that are very stark and very easily contrasting, it's important for us to call that out, because when you just lump people together, it's really, you're really missing the full picture and not appreciating, and you have a very closed perspective of the world. And my objective here is to try and enrich your perspectives, certainly never to close it up. So, and I think watching the contrast between Destiny and Anna Kasparian, who I know a lot of people say that she's been tilting more and more right, but still, she's far more left than most people who are watching this show, even to this day. And you see the dramatic distinction between her. This is a woman who in November 2016, when Trump won, called all women who voted for Trump stupid, morons, and saying she was better than them. And you see how different she is. I mean, she seemed like a psycho. And in a lot of ways, I think you can see to me, it inspires more grace. It inspires grace in some deranged lunatic like Destiny. And I'll touch on this more later, because I see how deranged Anna was at one point. So why shouldn't I think it's possible that can happen to someone even as far gone as Destiny? That doesn't mean that I excuse their behavior now. You still have to lambast them for their behavior now. So no one should get that. No, I don't want anyone to get that cockeyed as far as what I'm saying. Like, don't worry about it. That's not what I'm saying. No. You need to go after them, but not with hate. There's a lot more powerful tools than hate. And it's not simply just explaining to them where they're wrong. No, there's a lot more to it. And we'll try and talk about that also. I think tunnel digging should be an Olympic sport. Palestinians, Israel, and Mexico can win all the medals. Not sure who wins the gold. I like it. Such juice. Here's 20. Does that count for 2? No, but it gets you a horn. What are your thoughts on the criticism from left and maybe from right on Kash Patel and the investigation? Seems he botched the announcement, etc. I haven't seen those criticisms. I plan on looking at the investigation a little bit, but I haven't seen those criticisms. Maybe I'll try and look into it. That's one of the earliest stories I plan on getting into. That's gonna be like the second thing out of the gate. I plan on getting there very soon. HPGKMC says latent DNA processing takes days to complete because time needs for replication of the sample. How do we already have DNA match? Well, it could be that's perhaps they have more than just latent DNA. Perhaps they have more than just latent DNA. To be clear, I think he's guilty. Just concerned the case is being compromised by well-intentioned people going too fast and roaming the case. It's possible they have other forms of DNA besides latent DNA. You don't know. Maybe drool came out of his mouth, or his snot came out of his nose while he was like laying there on the roof. So if you can put him on the roof, that his DNA is still fresh enough on the roof, that's the way you could do it. Maybe left behind a drink. Johnny Reb for $10. This is a rant, so this counts towards our goal. That face you make when you realize that TPUSA went from 3,500 to 38,000 chapters. Yes. Resting CNN face. See locals chat if you will open, Joe. I will open. I apologize for not doing that, but I will open it now. I'm a little distracted because I went 3-0 this week, so I'm a little distracted. But I have remedied that whole lack of chat thing, and the Diggers Playground is open. So if those of you who are interested in chatting in locals, that is an available option for you now. And thank you for reminding me, brother. Appreciate that. All right. Oh, let me do this real quick. Are they calling the U.S. of 250 years fascist? Yes. Yes, they do. The right wants to consider our country as it was. What's so wrong with that, and how is that fascism? Well, they love what they've done is they've besmirched our history to basically say it's rooted in racism, slavery, and all sorts of other evils, where you're controlling and colonizing and taking land from Native Americans, every Native American who ever lived was obviously very peaceful. None of them were scalping or warring or basically butchering other tribes. Every one of them was peaceful until the white man came in here and basically killed them all with poisonous blankets and guns. So that's how they portray us, that we are inherently evil. It's interesting because I always thought that sort of self-flagellation has a Christian type of perspective to it. And on that issue, since you did bring this up, and you have actually a fine blue cross in your as your picture there. So I assume that you are Christian, but that was actually one of the distinctions that I was explaining about. One of the differences between Christianity and Judaism is that, and I was explaining this to my family when I was talking about how I had an epiphany as to like how I understand the afterlife, which is very different than even what many common Orthodox Jews think. And I root it in what rabbinic sages have said for thousands of years. I wouldn't go off on my own. That would be blasphemy. So I would never do that. But I actually have a different type of understanding where it's not that we are all hellbound. It's not that I don't look at the world as we're all hellbound, and that God is looking for us to basically feel pain. And I think that self-flagellation is a Christian concept in varying degrees, depending on which denomination of Christianity you're talking about. Obviously, some are very overt in their self-flagellation, but the whole guilt type of thing, I think, is something that, to me, sort of comes across as God kind of not liking us very much. And I think that the reality is the exact opposite. That God has far deeper love for us than we've ever had for any other creature collectively. Like if you took all of humanity's love in like its history, he loves like any one of us much more than that. That's how you can't even imagine how much God loves us, which is why the idea that we're doomed to have self-flagellate, that bring us closer to God, is self-flagellating, is kind of, to me, it doesn't really add up. But at the same time, there has to be accountability and fairness. And that's why I think that it's getting into heaven. People think that if you get into heaven, that's going to be good enough. And that's a tragic error. It's a very tragic error, because the same way when you look at others today, you feel a sense of emptiness when you feel as if their situation is better than yours. And that's a temporary thing, which could change in a snap of a finger, as opposed to if you see that others are far better off than you are in heaven, that's permanent. That doesn't ever change. So you might not be like, boiling in vats of oil, but that you still would feel like a certain consumption with like self-frustration about your own hideousness. Because I do think that like our sins basically manifest, and our character flaws manifest as literal hideousness. So let's say someone who's like continually like gossiping would be in heaven, but like everyone would just see that like he's got like massive warts all over his mouth forever. So yeah, you're not burning in hell, but I think that's that you just sort of feel a certain emptiness and frustration. And that's a pretty scary thing. Anyway, I didn't mean to go off on that. I don't know how I got started in that whole, yeah, I'm not sure how I got started in that, but yeah, I know what got me started in that, because I was talking about how the left, which seems not to believe in religion at all, I assume that most of them are Christians, although I'm sure that there's certainly plenty of Jews there, and I'm sure from all faiths on the left. But I think that it's weird that the left in general tends to reject God, and yet a theme of what their whole belief structure is self-guilt, where Americans are uniquely guilty, a self-hatred. It's probably not self-guilt. It's really probably more self-hatred, which would explain it. It's a self-hatred, which manifests as a certain self-loathing of your own country. It is a self-hatred, but then you hate feeling that way. So you basically say, I'm superior. Everyone else in my country is terrible. So that's why they'll portray America as the only place that slavery ever existed, even though we were the first country on earth to abolish it. We led the way there, but that we're uniquely evil. So once they've twisted history into being that ends up being that, like, we're rooted in fascism. And as soon as someone is in control who's implementing things they disagree with, well, then you're fascist, because their thought process is so limited that they just come to the term fascist instead of mean or I dislike you. So because they're trained to not think and just spit back whatever their TV tells them, or their school, or their peers, or whatever. JD Vance was amazing in Charlie's share today. Was he? I didn't get a chance to see it, but I'm sure he was. He is the most Charlie Kirk-esque of all the politicians out there. He is the most Charlie Kirkian. He's the most Kirkian. We should call it Kirkian. That's a good term, right? That's good. That's a good way of adjectivizing it. Adjectivizing it. Turning a noun into an adjective. That is, I think, out of all the politicians out there, his philosophies and belief structure, from what freedom is, what a healthy America is, what a constitution means, policies, religion, in all facets, he and Charlie Kirk, from everything I've seen and heard from both of them, are probably the most harmonious with each other, more so than anyone else I can think of who's similar to Charlie Kirk. So it makes sense to me that they were good friends. So, like, I've been calling the Jews the tiny hat people for a while because you said it once, and now I've been told it's offensive. It is considered offensive. I said it once. I probably said it in jest, the same way I say the Jews in jest. So, yeah, no, but it is pretty offensive, actually. It's pretty offensive. Yeah. Johnny Reb says, Joe, you have to pull up the meme and the video at 8:50 for 2 minutes if you choose to share. Oh, gosh. I don't know if I've...
Welcome to
8:50. Fine. I'm trusting you, Johnny. I'm trusting you. Also because I didn't open up the thing and I felt guilty about that. We're going to just sidetrack for 2 minutes here. This is what he shared with me before we get into it.
this stupid since 1875. Moving on. There's more. This is my favorite one. Look at the CNN gal here. They're going to report all the positive numbers that's happening at Turning Point. Look at her face. She looks like her cat died. She looks like she's seen a ghost. Listen to this.
At this point, we're over 37,000 inquiries just through our website, tpusa.com, saying, I want to get involved and start a chapter. And to put that in perspective, right now we have 900 college chapters, official college chapters, and 1,200 high school chapters, and about 3,500 total. So 37,000 is enormous.
It's 10 times more. Charlie Kirk lost his life, and they're going to go from 3,500 chapters at TPUSI,
Yes.
USA, Turning Point USA, where each chapter, there's a small one here in Tennessee. There's one out in England, by the way, in Great Britain. They have a TPUSA England. I just talked to a guy who knows of them. They could be tiny on high school groups and on campuses. And they just now had 38,000 new inquiries about starting a chapter on college and in high school. I just want you guys to multiply that. 38,000. If each one, gets like 100 people, it will be millions of votes in every state, enough to secure J.D. Vance's presidency. That's Charlie's legacy moving on. But look at the CNN chick's face. I love that they're reporting this on CNN. Here, you know what this is called? This is called CNN face from now on.
That's called this.
CNN face. You get CNN face every time there's good news about Turning Point. For the rest of our lives, this is what CNN, she's not smiling. Oh, 38,000 new chapters of Turning Point. Instead, she's going, what did we do? What did my party do?
Yep.
What did we do? There's 38,000 new chapters of young people they'll be voting for the rest of their lives. Why? Why did we lie about Charlie Kirk and the president's assassination? What did we do? I love it. The universe is healing.
I said, two people could say the same thing, Pamela, and for some reason, Charlie's would go further. And it's because there's something in it, the integrity of who he was and what he believed and what he stood for, and his faith in Jesus was so powerful that it would just
and his faith in Jesus. She's ready to jump off a building.
She
Holy
does.
cow!
She's like,
and spread, and
Oh
that's
my
what made his
gosh.
voice so powerful. And you're seeing that now with how people are so moved by it that they just can't do anything but try and get involved in some way. And we've been just inundated with people saying, hey, I run this kind of company. Can I help? It's totally free. Hey, I do this. Can this be helpful to you? And then the students are devastated. We're getting so many of those testimonials, and they want to see Charlie's legacy live on through Turning Point USA.
Oh,
that is amazing. That is really amazing. I'll tell you this much. I went on to Turning Point USA and volunteered my services to them. And I said, I don't want Lady Logic to hear this. But I kind of offered to be one of the people who would help try to fill some of the void left by Charlie and speaking. And right. She wasn't fully asleep. I threw it out there. They're kind of processing 37,000 requests. They'll probably never get back to me anyway. But I meant in good faith. Anyhow. What else do we have? So with that in mind, the interesting thing that what I really like about this is I think that Glenn Beck really made an important point, which is sort of has been on the tip of a lot of our lips. It's been on the tip of our lips, which we never would have said a week ago. I don't think anyone would have said this a week ago, but really giving Charlie Kirk a new label that he's earned.
It's time to call him what he really was. Because of what he died doing, Charlie Kirk is a civil rights icon. Charlie Kirk was a civil rights leader that was martyred standing up for civil rights. And it is time that our side declares that and stands on that and claims that territory. These so-called civil rights leaders that have been around for the last 30 years are jokes. They're money hustlers, they're dividers, and they have nothing to do with civil rights. Martin Luther King was a civil rights leader. Martin Luther King was that man. RFK Jr. could even be called a civil rights leader. JFK could be called a civil rights leader. They led the way. Everyone else was just playing it for cash and for power, and I'm sick of it. Charlie Kirk died standing up and trying to show people how to exercise your civil right in a civilized manner. And
Yeah.
they gunned him down because of it. It's time to start calling him Charlie Kirk, the civil rights leader.
I wholeheartedly endorse that. That is how he should be remembered. He should forever be remembered as civil rights leader Charlie Kirk. Because that's what when he's standing up for First Amendment rights, your Second Amendment rights, and displaying how they should be done, how, especially in particular, the First Amendment rights should be valued, treasured, and defended by every American. He was an example for you, for your children, for your grandchildren, and desperately trying to promote it in a world that these concepts, when he started doing it, was not popular. Because he really was doing it, going back to 2016. This is not something that folks were doing. So he is a civil rights leader, and he should be remembered as that. Yeah, I'm going to put you in a time. I'll report you. I think I'm going to qualify what you did here as harassment. Yeah, that's what we're going to do with that guy. I see this person who keeps coming in here under different names, trying to do what they can, but my mods are on top of it. I see. So good job. Anyway, so I think that's an important thing, that we refer to Charlie Kirk as civil rights leader Charlie Kirk. I think that's an important thing, because the more we cement his legacy, the more we do that, the more frustrated they become, and the more they realize just how stupid this entire effort was, and how it backfires. You gunned him down, you create 100 more Charlie Kirks. Because I don't know which person is going to develop into being a Charlie Kirk, but there are going to be more Charlie Kirks now. You're basically making his ideals multiply. A lot of people didn't know who he was, but now everyone knows who he was. Now everyone's listening to his videos. Now everyone's starting to check out, was he really racist the way the left pretends he was? Or was he, transphobe or homophobe, whatever it is that they try labeling him as? Are these really true or not? Because people know not to just listen to some clown who's like, he's a homophobe. But they actually start looking, and the videos are going viral. Every video is going viral now, of different clips of him basically stamping on people who are homophobic. I hate the word homophobic. I don't like the word, because it really should be anti-homosexual. I've actually railed against the word homophobe, but because I think it's anti-homosexual. So, and he railed against people who were strongly anti-homosexual, and he basically talked about the distinction between, recognizing what his faith calls for versus what we ask our government to call for. So, Joe, as a son of the American Revolution, a Native American, the colonizers did take the land. Jefferson did push for the Native folks being indebted to the banks, and broken treaties are kind of an issue. Okay. No, I don't deny the fact that the kind way of referring to it is colonizers, which now the term colonizers has been deemed to be somehow ugly. And the harsh way of looking at it is that they were conquerors, and that even the settlers across the country were conquering, because they had the capacity to. And whenever they couldn't do it individually, they had help from the U.S. Army. So they were conquerors. This is true. It is also the history of the world that there is absolutely no piece of territory on this earth which was not conquered at some point or another. Certainly anywhere that there's been, more than one society that tried taking over, there's been conquering. That's just the history of the world. That's not something you feel guilty about any more than you should feel guilty about the Anglo-Saxons and Jutes who duked it out in Great Britain. And so, yeah, they were conquered. That's the way of the world. Please watch JD's closing statement when he hosted, remember, for 34 months, my guy. Hosted the Charlie Kirk Show today. Powerful. Like the stream and subscribe. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. I went to the Charlie Kirk vigil at Ohio State Turning Point chapter. They expected 75 people to show up. Over 200 showed. It was awesome. Nice. Nice. Joe, can you please ban Susie Playhouse? I think I got her. I think I got her. I think I got her, but although JD may have his rhetoric, I think Charlie was a lot more erudite than JD. I don't see one that could take his place and be the next GOP leader. Respectfully, Morrow, look, Charlie was smart. If you're talking about who's erudite, JD Vance earned his way into Yale Law. There's nobody in politics who's more erudite. I've heard Charlie speak. He's a very smart guy and he has a lot of charisma. And you might say he has more charisma than Charlie, and that I think a fair argument can be made. As far as being erudite, JD Vance, he wipes the floor with anyone. And no disrespect intended to Charlie Kirk. He certainly can more than hold his own with Charlie Kirk, only because he understands law and can basically bring that element in, which Charlie Kirk couldn't, because he never had that kind of training. That doesn't mean he has the same charisma. It doesn't mean he has the same ability to influence the youth. Charlie Kirk's accomplishments at his age set him apart from JD Vance or anyone else. I grant you that, but I wouldn't say more erudite. Hey, Joe, here's a little help for your goal. Thank you, brother. If you could help me out with the raid when you're done, that would be awesome. Of course I can do that. I just need to take care of that before I forget, because I will forget. Forgetting will happen otherwise. Yeah. All right. Anyway, I'll try and squeeze that in. I have a lot of stories to cover here, and I haven't even begun. We're a half hour in and 40 minutes in, and I really haven't even begun. So let me get started. Charlie Kirk's shooting suspect. I told you that there's evidence on Tyler Robinson. Charlie Kirk shooting suspect Tyler Robinson allegedly confessed to assassination online before the arrest. Quote, "It was me." New York Post reporting that Tyler Robinson apparently confessed to killing conservative icon Charlie Kirk in an online message to nearly 36 people the day after the assassination. Quote, "Hey guys, I have bad news for you all," reads the chat message purportedly sent by Robinson, 22, through online community Discord, according to the Washington Post. "It was me at UVU yesterday. I'm sorry for all this," Robinson allegedly wrote. "I'm surrendering through a sheriff friend in a few moments. Thanks for all the good times and laughs. You've all been so amazing. Thank you all for everything." Now, he might have said that to try and protect them, figuring this way I'll make it look like they didn't know anything. It's possible. The message was sent Thursday night around 2 hours before Robinson was apprehended from an account on the platform tied to the suspect. A screenshot of the conversation, which had been sent to about 30 people, was obtained by the outlet through an anonymous member of the group and has not been independently verified by the Post. Discord previously claimed it found, quote, no evidence that the suspect planned this incident, promoted violence on Discord after an internal investigation. Robinson's apparent confession comes as federal authorities announced Monday that they were casting a wider net into whether pro-trans online communities or others knew that the assassin planned to kill the 31-year-old Turning Point USA founder September 10th. And I certainly, I have no idea if anyone else knew about it or not. I have no greater information on that than you have, but I will tell you that if he's writing that to them right before he's turning himself in, to me, that comes across as he's trying to fall on his sword to pretend to at least make it appear that no one else knew. So I wouldn't take that as, I would take it, when a statement like that, I would take as an admission against him, but I would argue vehemently that it's hearsay to the extent, another potential conspiratorial defendant would ever try and say, you see, he told us about it because none of us knew. So, and that's why it would be considered inadmissible. Robinson's apparent confession comes federal authorities announced Monday that they were casting a wider net. The suspect was arrested September 12th when his father turned him into authorities after seeing pictures the FBI posted online soliciting the public's help following a 33-hour manhunt conducted by state and federal law enforcement agencies. Public statements made by officials, as well as evidence discovered during the investigation, indicates Robinson was deeply immersed in left-wing politics and internet meme culture and had a fixation on furries. Come back to that in a moment. Yikes. Yikes. Why is this not doing that? I don't know what it's here. Welcome. Utah Governor Spencer Cox said Friday that Robinson had been deeply indoctrinated with leftist ideology despite not being registered with any political party. And FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino told Fox News' Bill Hemmer on Monday that the suspect had some obsession with Kirk based on his digital footprints. He called the assassination, quote, an ideologically motivated attack. Inscriptions found on the and the left has tried so hard to say, oh, he comes from a Republican Utah family, a Utah Republican family. So you see, he's one of yours. No, all it does is display just how poisonous that culture is, that they could actually take one of your own kids and poison their mind relatively quickly. That's all it tells you. That's how poisonous their ideology is. The casting of the bullet that killed Kirk was etched with notices bulge OWO. What's this? A nod to a 10-year-old internet meme linked to the furry subculture that centers on sexual interest in anthropomorphic animal characters. So if you're unfamiliar with what this is, from what I understand, this has something to do with humans and in animal form, or I don't know, but basically some sort of fetish involving animals, hence the term furry. Robinson is romantically involved with his live-in roommate who identifies as transgender and is currently transitioning from male to female. Oh, this is live-in roommate. That's nice. His transgender live-in roommate. A relative of the roommate who is cooperating with authorities and has not been accused of any crime said they suspect Robinson's radical politics may have been influenced by their relationship. He hates conservatives and Christians, the relative said of the roommate. He hated us. He was not raised that way, but he, over the years, has become really detached and been radicalized. I think Tyler got a whole lot worse in the year they've been dating. They're big gamers, and obviously they had that group that influenced them as well as others. My gut tells me the roommate did more of the influencing, the relative told Fox Digital. Robinson is being held without bail in Utah's jail on preliminary charges, including aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, and obstruction of justice. He has reportedly not been speaking to investigators. His first court appearance is expected tomorrow, Tuesday. That's right. Tomorrow is when we'll see him for the first time in court, almost certainly pleading not guilty. Charlie Kirk's assassination suspect had furry fixation, and his trans boyfriend proclaimed, this is the person that's saying, oh yeah, he's a Republican. He once gave money to Trump. Yeah, he did. He did. And then he got influenced by the trans and became trans Tifa. And his trans boyfriend proclaimed support for Biden on social media. Alleged Charlie Kirk assassin Tyler Robinson appeared to have a fixation on furries, while his live-in transgender boyfriend espoused support for President Joe Biden and joked about being mentally ill, according to social media posts linked to the pair. Lance Twiggs, 22, an aspiring pro gamer, and Robinson's roommate appears to have made a comment in a 2022 Reddit post stating, "We're riding with Biden on this glorious subreddit." Twiggs, whose family appears to be conservative Christians based in Utah, is transitioning from male to female and was in a relationship with a 22-year-old Robinson, Governor Spencer confirmed Sunday. The post was made on a jokey subreddit that was filled with sarcastic comments, and the subsequent post referenced former Republican president candidate Jeb Bush. "One day, Jeb will president America will fully reform into a utopia," the comment said. In the same thread reads, social media activity was first reported by Daily Mail. In another post, Twiggs said he has been getting targeted ads for treatment for schizophrenia and other mental conditions on social media. Quote, "I've been getting recommended treatments for schizophrenia, BPD, borderline personality disorder, and a brain tumor recently by my social media advertisements. This meme is perfect. Thanks," the post read. His posts were rarely political, but frequently referenced his gender transition as well as being a former Christian. It comes as Robinson's bizarre ties to the furry lifestyle were revealed. You can see what they mean when they talk about animal, furry, fixation stuff. An account on the website furaffinity.net, which features sexualized images of cartoon animal characters, features an account name matching one that Robinson used on his various gaming and online accounts, friends told the Daily Mail. The spent cartridge believed to belong to the murder weapon was inscribed with the message, "Notices bulge, OWO, what's this?" OWO is an obscure emoticon from gamer culture meant to represent a wide-eyed cat face. Okay. Twiggs was said to be aghast after learning of Robinson's alleged crimes and is being extremely cooperative with authorities, law enforcement sources told Axios. It's clear that Robinson's roommate knew a lot and didn't say anything after the killing, so they're a person of interest officially and are cooperating. We want to keep it that way, one official said. That's what happened? Oh my God, no. Here's all the messages Twiggs told law enforcement, according to the source, indicating that he then shared all of Robinson's online communications with authorities. So maybe he wasn't involved. Robinson's online presence points to the hodgepodge of liberal ideology, gamer-style humor, and post-ironic memes. He reportedly grew up as a member of the Mormon faith, but had long since left the church by the time of his alleged crimes. The Post spoke with 4 people who graduated with Robinson. They described him as quiet, shy, seeming kid who kept to himself. He seemed pretty normal and average to me, Justin Lees, who had class with Robinson, told the Post. The only thing that makes me say that sounds about right was when "Notices bulge, OWO" was written on one of the bullet casings, Lee added. After officials ID'd Robinson as suspect, police blocked off his parents' house, then their block, then their entire street, as neighbors complained about dozens of reporters and camera crews who had descended on the neighborhood in the wake of the shooting. They did the same for the apartment complex where Robinson and Twiggs lived. That's appropriate. No one should be harassing the parents. No trespassing, no media. Law enforcement will be called, read a sign at the entrance to Robinson's apartment complex Sunday morning. By then, the complex was free of both reporters and cops. A solitary local news van remained in the parking lot, but it had been tagged with graffiti. Yeah, I don't think that they should. I don't think they should be harassed. I really don't want to see that. Federal and state law enforcement officials examining leftist groups in Utah to see if anyone else had knowledge of Robinson's alleged plans beforehand. At least one group, Armed Queers Salt Lake City, wiped all its social media in recent days, although it isn't known whether this was in response to the ongoing investigations. Robinson is due to appear in court for the first time on Tuesday on charges of aggravated murder. Trump, among others, called for the death penalty if Robinson is found guilty. Let's get in on that. Trump issues stunning announcement about the left after the Kirk shooting. President Donald Trump suggested over the weekend that left-wing organizations and individuals are under investigation following last week's shocking assassination of conservative youth influencer and Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk. Trump, speaking to reporters in New Jersey before departing for his Bedminster golf resort, said, you know, they're already under investigation. A lot of the people that you would traditionally say they're on the left. A reporter asked Trump to clarify. They're already under investigation, to which the president responded, already under investigation. Meanwhile, a source from already under investigation. Meanwhile, a source familiar with the investigation into Kirk's assassination told Fox News Digital the FBI is examining leftist groups in Utah for possible ties to the alleged shooter. I hope that they expose everyone who was involved. That certainly would be a good thing. The source told Fox News, because it's hard to imagine he would have done this without telling some people up front. I have a difficult time believing that he wouldn't have told some people up front. Because the people who brought him into this community and inspired him toward violence, I think those are the people that he would want them to feel proud of him. This is what he's going to do. There also are some comments which imply, you know, big things are coming. So now, whether they have their knowledge can be a basis for a charge that's a different question. Is there a duty if you know someone is planning on engaging in an assassination? Do you have a duty to inform the police and protect them? And where does that duty come from if, in fact, you do have such an obligation? You have to, if you're going to claim the answer to that is yes, obviously, then you have to say, what is the moral or legal obligation to stop the person from engaging in an assassination? I'm not saying that there isn't, but it's an interesting question to sort of think about. Imagine you know that your child is planning on engaging in an assassination. Do you have a legal and or moral obligation to, or your best friend, to inform the police? I think most people would probably say no. Now, supposedly, I remember seeing, I remember that in one of I think the pilot episode of The Sopranos, which is where I got my law on this from. You think it was Fordham? No. I remember Dr. Melfi basically making a statement when Tony starts talking to her about, you know, she asks him what he does for a living. He says waste management. And then he starts telling her, she's like, why don't you tell me about the morning of your attack? And he's like, well, I was with my nephew Christopher, and we were going to get some coffee. And she's like, Mr. Soprano, I should tell you that, you know, while there is confidentiality here, if in fact you were to tell me something involving a crime that affected others, and I'm not saying that you would, but if you would, I do have a legal obligation to share that with you. So I'm not familiar enough with the law on this. Perhaps one of you knows far better than I do. I don't know. Yeah, I want to go a little further here, but I want to wrap up this FBI thing before I get to chats. Before I go anywhere near that. So this is where the reporting started. The Free Beacon came out saying exclusive FBI investigation, social media accounts that appear to indicate foreknowledge of Kirk's assassination. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is investigating social media posts by at least 7 different accounts that appear to indicate foreknowledge of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. To me, this is a huge story. 7 different people that seem to have foreknowledge of, because the real question is, what steps, if any, did they take to assist him? Give him some advice or other things of that nature. That now all of a sudden becomes different from having knowledge to actually facilitating, conspiring, and potentially facing serious jail time. So the FBI is investigating social media posts by at least 7 different accounts that appear to indicate foreknowledge of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, according to 3 people familiar with the investigation and screenshots obtained by the Washington Free Beacon. The posts, this is really annoying. The posts, one of which referenced the date of Kirk's assassination, September 10th, more than a month before it took place, were all deleted in the days following the killing. Several of the accounts appear to belong to transgender individuals, and at least one of them followed suspects. So just give me a break. Suspect Tyler Robinson's roommate, with whom Robinson was allegedly in a relationship on TikTok. The FBI has received the reason this would be significant. The reason it would be significant is if they're following his roommate, it means they probably know each other, right? They're likely, you're communicating with them and they have knowledge about it. So it seems like the roommate knew. Maybe the roommate was scared of the ramifications. Maybe the roommate heard death penalty and started freaking out. The FBI, because that's what the Governor Cox was talking about from before Tyler was caught. The FBI received archived copies of the posts, according to the person who flagged them for the agency. Screenshots of the posts have been circulating online, but have not been previously authenticated. While the posts do not establish that any of the individuals knew or conspired with Robinson, the 22-year-old gunman who allegedly shot Kirk, several of them mentioned the conservative activist by name and fantasize about his death. Quote, it'd be funny if someone like Charlie got blanked on September 10th, LMAO, when an X account posted on September 3rd. And they also said this. Donald Trump, December 14th. Another account posted on August 6th, more than a month before the shooting, that September 10th will be a very interesting day. After Kirk's assassination, the account followed up, I plead the 5th. The morbid quip was reposted by an account named Churbum75M, saw Tyler June 30th, who appears to follow Robinson's roommate Lance Twiggs on TikTok, where Twiggs' username is Lanclotl. It's Churbum who follows him. See, the internet is going to research you. The internet's going to look into you. Minutes after Kirk was pronounced dead, Churbum75M posted on X, we effing did it. Several of the accounts under investigation appear to be associated with LGBT subcultures. One individual, Osamu bin Tezuka, used the X handle FU Josh Incel, a reference to a genre of anime that depicts romantic relationships between men. So, another user, Najra Galvez, who had wished death to Kirk and predicted that something big will happen when he set foot on campus, has identified as non-binary on X. Nice. And in a video posting on TikTok the night before the shooting, an individual appears to be transgender wrote that Charles James Kirk does not know what's coming tomorrow. So I said he would be talking to people about beforehand. I knew he would be talking. It cannot be that they didn't know. The question is what help, if any, he got from them. There's no way that people wouldn't have known. I don't believe that he would have kept it to himself. The reason I say that is because, what do I say in this particular case? I wouldn't say that in every assassination attempt. I never made such a claim about Thomas Crooks. I never made such a claim about anyone else involved with potential assassination. The reason to me it makes a lot of sense is because he was radicalized. Meaning, if someone sort of spends a lifetime feeling like an outsider and sort of drifts in over an extended period of time. So they might fall in and out of relationships and friendships with people who push them along this self-destructive path. But someone who gets radicalized over a relatively short period of time and then goes out and engages in this type of outrageous violence almost certainly has a cadre of friends who are pushing them along in this general direction of being frothing at the mouth pro-trans and willing to kill. Which means that when they succeed, he's very unlikely to have, if he doesn't have the self-discipline to see through their garbage, doesn't have this self-discipline, despite being raised in a house that has, you know, by all outward appearances, seemingly Christian values, and he's willing to chuck all that out because he doesn't have he hasn't built up enough self-resistance, self-discipline, or strength of self-confidence to actually withstand the propagandizing that he was exposed to, which radicalized him. Then he does not have the inner strength or discipline, or it's very unlikely he has the inner strength or discipline, self-discipline, to keep himself from saying, I'm going to do it. This is what's going to happen. I'm going to do this on September 10th. Do you see what I'm saying? It's the same mindset that enables him to be radicalized also makes it very unlikely. Radicalized over a short period, despite his upbringing, makes it also seemingly to me very unlikely that he would have the self-discipline and the strength to actually keep this to himself before he goes out there and does it. So it makes a lot of sense to me that there would be a circle of people who he probably would have talked to, probably more than just one, not just his live-in transing boyfriend, whatever, but, you know, others who they consider part of their crew, others whose respect they be seeking. Because the person who's radicalized is not the one everyone respects. He's trying to earn respect from others who he respects. So he almost certainly would be like proud of, like, you know, that this is what I'm going to go out there and do. And that's why it would be like almost bragging and trying to earn their favor. And if you think about it, John, what was the name of the guy who shot Reagan because of Jodie Foster? Was that Hinckley? That's all trying to like earn respect and love of someone. So yeah, I think that this is very likely something that he would have shared with others before going out there and actually doing it. To me, that makes perfect sense. That's all very consistent. And before I get just one last thing here, I quoted you Trump. I'll give you one last Trump thing before I move on to next. I covered chats and move on to the next topic. So Trump comments on crime in U.S. City.
Charlie Kirk's assassination.
And New Orleans, we want to get to too.
Your FBI is investigating the potential role of left-wing organizations in the assassination. I'm wondering if you think if Charlie Kirk's assassin worked alone or if he worked with you.
I don't know. I mean, I can tell you he didn't work alone on the internet because it seems that he became radicalized on the internet. That's just by watching same things that you're watching and hearing. It looks like he became radicalized over the internet. And it seems like he has wonderful parents, brought in a wonderful neighborhood, smart guy, great boards, great marks, great student. And then something happened to him over a fairly short period of time. It looks like he was radicalized over the internet, and it's radicalized on the left. He's a left. I have a lot of problems with the left, and they get protected, and they shouldn't be protected. But as you understand, I think very well from the tone of your question. Thank you very much.
Charlie Kirk's assassination.
And New Orleans.
So there you go. So it seems pretty clear that he was radicalized. I should have hit this earlier when I saw a flash of red, and I'm supposed to have hit that earlier. I'll come to you in a minute, Brandon. TR Greater X says, I don't know if you've seen Kirk's last book called Stop in the Name of God, Why Honoring the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life. He was Christian, but upheld a modified version of Jewish Sabbath, put away all news and social media. Yeah, Ron Coleman mentioned that to me. It's an interesting thing. I don't know what to say to that. I don't know what to say to that. Yeah, I would not encourage anyone to do that. Anyone who's not Jewish. If you're Jewish, then I certainly encourage you to embrace the Sabbath. But yeah, it's not something that Jews never would push Christians to keep the Sabbath the way that we do. We don't proselytize in general. So yeah, we certainly don't encourage that. But Ron told me that. I had not heard it before. I do think it's interesting. But yeah, I need to just find something really fast here. Just give me like uno momento to try to find, because I promised I was gonna try and take care of Jim Tells You. So let me just, I'm gonna forget if I don't do this like now. So I'm just gonna set that up.
The next day on Twitter. I am 100.
All right, so I'm taking care of him now because it's only appropriate. All right, now the redirect to his show after I'm done here is set up. Conquering is something that tribes here did as well. The colonizer term surely has a connotation, as does conqueror, but failing to keep the terms of treaties is against the Constitution. That's fair enough. I don't know what to tell you on that. I mean, I haven't researched it, so I don't want to debate how well or how poorly they kept them. I know that there's been a lot of decisions against the government itself for how they dealt with Native Americans. So I don't know whether or not there's been any effort to create, restitution for any wrongs of violating treaties per se. But I do know that I think it was in the 80s there was a whole big thing. I have vague recollection from before I was into law or politics, something about how the United States government basically owed a whole bunch of tribes something. I don't know why it is that's just I haven't thought about it since then. So yeah, I remember feeling resentment about it, because then I was just like, that was the 80s. It's like, America, F yeah, we could do no wrong. Where was the gun when he climbed the stairs to the second roof? I don't know. I don't know how any of this, it's very weird how when he's running away, we don't see that gun. But they say that he could have had it in his backpack and just maybe taken the stock off and shoved the barrel into his backpack. That's the best guess I can give you. If you put it on an angle, maybe it would fit into that backpack. So, yeah. So you sent that twice. I hope that gave you an answer. Joe, if one says to another that wants to harm himself, I believe the other person is legally obligated to call cops on him. So why wouldn't exist such legal obligation if someone hears someone planning to harm someone else? What is the basis of that? Why am I responsible if I hear somebody who I detest talking about harming themselves? I don't know that there's a legal obligation for me to, and I'm not saying, look, I can understand there being a moral obligation, that I understand, but a legal obligation that they're chargeable? Now, I think it would be all the more so if they were harming third parties. I agree with what you did here. We would call CABAL Homer in Talmudic studies, where it's like, if this is something you have to report, then certainly that is something you would have to report, because something that's only affecting him individually, if it's affecting third parties, clearly you would have, if you have an onus to the person who's self-inflicting, then you certainly should have an onus and a duty to someone who's a victim, a pure victim. So I agree with the logic of what you're saying. I just don't know that the given that you're starting with is actually accurate. And it could depend on the jurisdiction you're in. Like, some have Good Samaritan laws, things of that nature, which may create an obligation. Although usually Good Samaritan laws are designed to protect you if you're helping someone out and you screw up. That's what your typical Good Samaritan law is, not like the series finale of Seinfeld. We have an onus to help people, but it's actually that if you go, your typical Good Samaritan laws come up in personal injury situations where it's a defense that if you harm someone while trying to help them when they're in danger and you actually make their situation worse, and you're trying to act as a good Samaritan, that's a valid defense. Can anyone charge university police with criminal negligence for not providing adequate security resulting in the death of Charlie Kirk? Great question, Otto. So this would really be a question really more about Utah law. I would be surprised if that is something that he shows up and now they have a duty to protect him. I don't think that that's actually, I don't think that's true, that they have a duty to provide security to them. In general, if there's a decision by the police that they're going to stay out of a particular zone, they have that, the state has that prerogative. No individual can put themselves in a situation and say it's your duty to protect me. So I would be surprised if there's any statute out there. I'm not saying this definitively. I'm saying this as a lawyer friend of yours talking to you in a bar. So it's not something I've researched, it's not something I can tell you definitively, but here's why philosophically I would think that there probably is no law of that nature, and that's because no individual has a right to tell the state, you must protect me. I'm going to go out to this place here, which is potentially more dangerous than if I stayed in my house, and now you have a duty to protect me and put up extra security for me because me so special. Doesn't seem to make sense. And even the university, he's on their grounds. It's a really high burden. And if anything, I wouldn't want there to be such a law. And the reason I wouldn't want there to be such a law is because now you're giving universities an incentive to say, we're not having you come because then we're going to be liable. Why should I let you come? I let you come here and now you're going to sue me? It's there are a lot of people who, especially I find in religious circles, who they're like, if I'm in your house, I'm not going to sue you. I'm in your house and I fall, I'm not going to sue you because that's like a lack of gratitude. It's like rude. I can come on your place and now I'm going to like sue you because like it's not even that they did something, but like someone else, some third party comes in, they didn't stop it from happening. It's a very high burden to put on them. I understand we're frustrated, and I'll tell you this much. I mean, from a financial perspective, purely from a financial perspective, you're worried about the Kirks. You're worried about Erica Kirk and her children and their financial status. God bless Charlie Kirk and his soul. The guy was a massive earner. I mean, and Erica Kirk doesn't have to spend a day in her life, and I'm not saying that she should have to, but I'm saying as far as, her needing financial restitution, we want to fine for the estate because of, she's not exactly financially beleaguered, Erica Kirk here, right? I mean, I think they raised, when I saw 2 or 3 days ago, that since his assassination, they had raised $4 to $5 million for her already. And I'm sure that's not, she probably had more in her account before he died. Like, I don't know, I have no idea. I don't know what his assets are, but I'm sure he was doing really well financially. So if she didn't want to work a day in her life, I'm sure she can get by on a very healthy standard of living, far better than most people who are watching this show. So I feel terrible for her and her children with their emotional and just the loss of having a father figure and a husband in the home. That's a terrible, terrible tragedy. I feel a tragedy for the world in that I think that he was a very positive influence. But looking purely at the financial element to it, I don't think there's much cause for any of us to be weeping for the Kirks. And I'm not saying that begrudging the money that he earned or the gifts that were given to her, which I certainly can well understand and appreciate. But I'm just saying, like, to help get her more money and alienate universities from having figures come on campus, that would kind of frustrate me a little bit. I know it's fun to say. I know it's fun to say, well, I'm so-and-so, I have nothing to stand on, but please protest inside the wire or Joe will drink, blah, blah, blah. I don't even have a shot glass here. Got my Carlisle. I assume it's your birthday or something, and you're asking me to take a shot for that. So I will oblige you with one drink. I need 1 moment. Make me stop everything. Drop everything, Joe. We'll raise a glass to Charlie Kirk. Wishing you a very, very happy birthday, Lesko. And it's a civil rights leader, civil rights icon, Charlie Kirk. May his soul dance in heaven with God forever. I hope the professors and administrators are. Whew, been a while. It's been a minute. I hope the professors and administrators are investigated. If there was help, I'm sure they were involved, i.e., where the cameras are, where they aren't, et cetera, et cetera. I expect the FBI to be very thorough. Very, very thorough. I would be surprised if they're not. I don't. This is not Biden's DOJ. This ain't Biden's FBI anymore. There you go, blind man walking. I don't think it was about the necessarily like honoring the Jewish Sabbath. I think it was more about encouraging a day that you put away all distractions and spend it with your family. It is the most healthy thing in the world. It really is. I cannot tell you how desperate 95% of you probably are to turn off your phone and computers for 24 hours. I cannot tell you how emotionally, psychologically cleansing it is. It is an amazing, amazing thing. You actually invest, turn off your TV, turn off your phones, turn off your computers, and actually spend a day with your family. That is part of what happens on Sabbath, and I cannot highly enough recommend. I don't know how I would still be married without Shabbos. I don't know how I wouldn't hate my family without it. Because I don't know why my kids wouldn't hate me. Because that's when I spend time with them. That's when I'm developing a relationship with them. That's when I remind myself that everything I'm doing here is for them. Yeah, sure, I'll grab a few minutes. I try to grab a few minutes daily. But I mean, the bedrock of my relationship with my family comes from spending Shabbos and holidays with them. There's no question. As a Catholic, we're taught in the Bible says keep holy the Sabbath, meaning go to church on Sunday. I do not think CK meant in the Jewish sense. No, the point is he did it on Saturday instead of Sunday, which everyone thought was odd. And he was pretty religious in the way he kept it. Under federal law 18 U.S.C. 4, misprision of felony makes it a crime to know a felony was committed, conceal it, fail to notify authorities as soon as possible. That's after it was committed, as opposed to before it's committed. Like a duty to be a narc. I am curious about that statute, though. How much time you can get. No more than 3 years. All right. I was just being kind. I was being generous. I need to get your insight on this since I have been too lazy to look it up. What happens to the Patriot Act? Does the FBI and others not conduct surveillance any longer, looking for chatter, etc.? So what I understand is Patriot Act was supposed to sunset out every 5 years, and Congress kept resurrecting it every 5 years. And I think it still is in effect. That's really a great question for Grok. I can ask Grok that question for you in case you don't have access to him. Is the Patriot Act still good law? Could be some parts are, some parts are not. That's what I thought. An act in response to September 11th. The act expanded federal law enforcement and surveillance investigative. Still at FISA. Majority of its authorities were preserved through subsequent legislation, including the USA Freedom Act. I remember that when And McCarthy was all about, extending it, and all the rhinos are all about extending it out. And a lot of MAGA was very upset about it. That happened like a year or two ago. So, yeah, it's still good law. It's still good law. Okay. Let's move along because I still have a lot to cover, and I'm an hour and 20 minutes in. I don't know when I'm going to get to all this. Okay. Let's look at some crazy lefties for a minute.
Hamas. They're a dime.
We have to start calling his supporters racist as well. That MAGA symbol has come to represent something. It is the new Nazi symbol. It is the new hood.
Because they're not a party, right? They're Sinn Féin to the IRA. They're the PLO to Hamas. They're
This is what cannot happen anymore.
a dime store front for a terrorist movement.
They're calling us terrorists. They would call me a terrorist. I'm sure they would call me a fascist, terrorist, Nazi.
The Republican Party is basically a domestic terrorist cell at this point, and they should be treated as such.
There are elements of the GOP that are starting to look like the jihadists.
Like I'm not offended by it. None of us should be offended by the label. It's not a matter of being offended. It's a matter of that you're weaponizing your crazies into giving them justification for taking matters into their own hands. So most of us sort of laugh this sort of crap off. And we're like, yeah, okay, racist. Like, who cares? I don't care about them, their stupid desperation. But now it feels as if they're trying to do it in order to weaponize their crazies. So then again, all this stuff predates Charlie Kirk. But
it's not a political party. They're a white nationalist movement. They're a fascist threat to our nation. That's not hyperbolic. That's academic.
Would have once seemed hyperbolic, but it increasingly does feel like the Republican Party has become a death cult, and it's all about Donald Trump.
There is no alternative right now because the Republican Party project today is a fascist authoritarian project.
Fact is, Republicans in Congress are still in the grip of the ultra MAGA agenda.
Ultra MAGA, whatever the hell that means. I definitely identify as ultra MAGA. Whatever ultra MAGA is, I identify as that.
Party of dupes, party of knuckleheads, party of weirdos, party of freaks. So that is a simple message. And underneath that, it's the
coming from a very simple person.
Party of nothing.
It has become an
This is Joe Walsh, former Republican, who has literally lost his mind.
authoritarian embracing cult. It is fascist.
We take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic.
This is before January 6th she's saying this crap.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue with their allies in the Congress of the United States.
Trump's modern day Gestapo is
Gestapo. This doofus. This doofus in his stupid graduation robes. Gestapo. Yeah, the Gestapo. Idiot.
Scooping folks up off the streets. They're in unmarked vans wearing masks, being shipped off to foreign torture dungeons.
Foreign torture dungeons. Just make up whatever you want.
No chance to mount a defense. Not even a chance to kiss a loved one goodbye. Just grabbed up by masked agents, shoved into those vans, and
The old films of the Gestapo grabbing people off the streets of Poland, and you compare them to those nondescript thugs who grabbed that student, that graduated student. It does look like a Gestapo
No, it doesn't.
operation.
You can see Miss Plastic over here, Kathy Hochul, who there's no proof she's not AI, like bad AI, like beta version AI. Hey, look at this individual. How many pounds of makeup does that thing adorn?
My dad served in Second World War. He fought the Nazis
Oh, shut up. See? You sicko.
in Northern Africa. He fought the Nazis on the Italian peninsula.
Yeah, well, you're a freaking coward and a loser. You're a feces stain of on the shorts of your dad.
And I think he's looking down right now and he's happy that I'm fighting today's Nazis.
I'm sure he's humiliated by you. As he should be.
Because if we just roll this clock on the wall back 75 years, we'd be looking at a time in Nazi Germany where people ran around with signs
silencing people and surveilling them the way Biden's administration did.
Like this new ICE sign that says report all foreign invaders to ICE with Uncle Sam there.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't, because there's not supposed to be foreign invaders. Yeah, you're right. That's what you would see in America. That's what you would see in America. That's what you, if you actually went back 75 years, that's what you would see in America.
Holding up the sign. This could have been a Gestapo member.
No, that's what it would have said in America, you clown, jackass. Now, some would say that that was wrong because they did that even to, like, you know, American citizens who were Japanese. But that sign would have been all over America, you moron.
75 years ago, report all Jews.
It's not just that Donald Trump poses a threat to democracy. It's that Donald Trump only cares about himself. This is a populist looking to serve his own interests and harm other people and dismantle our democracy and make it just about himself. This is a guy who's doing it on behalf of Putin.
Do you think Trump cares about any of his supporters? I think he's only ever cared about himself.
Okay, I'm sick of these idiots. All right, that's enough of them. I got more idiots to share with you. I don't need to have like old idiots. We have new idiots. Instead of fixating on the old idiots, let's fixate on the new ones. Is this new ones?
Let me ask you tonight, do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
This is what kicking the shit out of fascism looks like.
Try to prevent the spread of the lawlessness and the fascist chaos that's been unleashed against us.
So when we say Donald Trump is a fascist, fascism, a huge component of fascism is...
Every time you see her brain try to work, you can actually see, if you look closely, you can see the smoke that's like coming out of her ears.
Uniting racism, bigotry, a form of racist nationalism.
We are now living in a fascist dictatorship.
We are worried about potential rise of fascism in this country. We're worried about our democracy falling to an authoritarian and potentially fascist form of government.
Not only to roll over to Donald Trump's will, but to roll over our democracy and allow him to take over this country as a fascist dictator.
Democracy is fascism.
When fascism isn't just coming, it's already here.
Fascism is democracy. Democracy is fascism. In case you're unaware of it, Adolf was elected.
The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, said, "No one has ever been more dangerous to this country than Donald Trump, and he is a fascist to his core."
I stand corrected. Narada told me to read Dennis Prager's tribute. It's a good read, and he was talking about the Jewish Sabbath. I was wrong publicly. I say thank you for the correction publicly. You're welcome. You're welcome. I told you, Ron Coleman told me that he recognizes it like as a Jew, like the way Orthodox Jews do, or he did. Which, if he would have asked me, I would have told him, yeah, you probably don't do that. Don't do that. Do it on Sunday. Why not do it on Sunday? But I got a lot more for you. This really wasn't meant to do here, but I've hated on Dave Smith a lot here recently because he's done a lot to earn it. I think I might have publicly referred to him as Adam Greta Smith because he reminds me so much of Greta Thunberg. But this was actually a healthy message from him. Now you can't help but picture him with pigtails, right? I mean, that's whenever I see Adam Smith, like I just think three words.
How dare you?
So it's not really, but here he says something that I thought was pretty good.
Charlie Kirk was the moderate. He was the fucking reasonable guy in the room, you dummy.
He was.
A far-right activist. Are you kidding me?
He was.
You have any idea what's out there? You think that was like the radical position? Charlie Kirk was the most moderate human being. He was a plumb line Republican. A plumb line Republican, as everybody who knows anything about anything knows, is 1 centimeter to the right of a plumb line Democrat. He was right just in the middle.
Yep.
He just supported Israel like the Democrats and Republicans do. He was more, like a little bit more on the side of restrictive immigration policy. That was his big radical policy, was he was with 80% of the American people on immigration. It's not. So you sit there and what do you think? You think this is a victory? Like for you? You think, oh, you took out let me think this through here with all of my wisdom. I want to win a culture war. So what I did was I violently murdered the most high-profile moderate voice.
In front of the entire world. In front of the entire world. Making him look as sympathetic as possible. I'll tell you this much. I long thought that Joe Biden was pretty shrewd to have Kamala Harris as his vice president, because then even the craziest of the crazy people on the right, and there are a handful, none of them watching this show, but the craziest of the crazy people on the right would be like, yeah, we don't want to see what's coming up behind him because Kamala would be way worse. And this is the same thing here. You got rid of Charlie Kirk, and whatever's coming behind him, the left is going to think is way worse
on the other side. Hey, geniuses, but summon all your wisdom together and tell me, do you think that is likely to calm things down, or might that lead to more radicalization? And what the fuck, these dumbass fucking lefties celebrating? Like, what exactly are you trying to start here, you fucking pussies? Like, Jesus Christ, man. I mean, go live your fucking weird lives and with your fucking pink hair and your 70 genders or whatever, but don't sit here and pretend you're ready for a fucking fight. Like, what are you doing? Do you know, it's like such a weird dynamic they have here, right? Where like, broadly speaking in the country, there's like this culture war, right? And like the left wingers are almost always the ones who are out on the streets. They're the ones protesting. I mean, yeah, you could point to January 6th, but it's like the one exception. It's the exception that proves the rule. But who is out in, the Ferguson, Missouri, protests and riots, or the Trayvon Martin protests and riots, or the George Floyd protests and riots, or there's the Pussy March, or there's the Immigration March, or there's the campus activism over the last, 15 years. It's like the leftists take to the street. They're the first ones to go, we're going to go out here and do a thing. It's much harder to get the right wingers out on the streets because they have families and jobs and church to go to. But the right wing is so much tougher. Like if this ever came down to a fight, the fight is right wingers mowing down gender studies majors. Like, what are we fucking talking about here?
All right. Anyway, it's not about to come down to a fight. Even though Marjorie Taylor Greene, I was going to pull this up, so I do have it here. Okay. You talk about having a fight and a split here. And I think this is a good question I wanted to ask all of you here. MTG calls for national divorce. This is according to New Republic, which is obviously some crazy left-wing thing, in a psychotic post on Charlie Kirk. I don't need to read their commentary because they're idiots, but they did give me a link to her post, which says there's nothing left to talk about with the left. They hate us. They assassinated our nice guy who actually talked to them peacefully, debating ideas. Then millions on the left celebrated and made clear they want all of us dead. To be honest, I want a peaceful national divorce. And this is what I want to ask all of you. I asked this when I posted this in my community, when I posted tonight's stream in my community on X, I asked if you were interested in a peaceful national divorce. I will share with you how those numbers are playing out so far. I haven't looked yet, but I will share with you as I pull up, as I refresh it and see what numbers we got right here. Do you support a peaceful national divorce? That was my question. 33% say overdue. 35% say no, not ceding any territory. 20% say I would, but it's impossible. And 11% of you just gave this thing, which I always say about Lincoln, that what he said, a house divided cannot stand, is stupid, because that means get divorced, and that way we won't be divided. You know, we're not divided with Russia. We also don't share any territory with them. So, yeah, so that's what I'm going to put in here in my on YouTube. I want to ask you guys, do you support a national divorce? I am curious where you stand on that. So I want to ask you guys, do you support a national? That was an echo. Echo, 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 echo. Start a poll. I'll say if possible. And just a yes or no. And I'm going to check the ghetto also. If possible, do you support peaceful national divorce? Johnny Reb in locals. Share this. That face you make when you realize TP USA went from 3,500 to 38,000 chapters. That is pretty funny. That's pretty funny. And JH, what else we got here? JH Schwalbach says, I sent a super chat to you on laid back law, but when they started to read it, you dipped out to talk to Lady Logic. So I sent another one when you came back and you dipped again before they read it. Are they telling me you to dip when I send the chat, or are they just evil? I really didn't see it. I didn't see it. Yeah. Lady Logic was really under the weather, and she was like preparing for company that was coming that night. And I just felt like really guilty, like leaving her. Like she was like preparing the upstairs for my kids who were coming for Shabbos. So she was changing like sheets and stuff, and she was sick as a dog. So I was like, let me help you out with that. I just felt terrible. And if I didn't do it, then it wasn't gonna work. So I don't care if she's got bangs now. No one pictures her with bangs. You're gonna sit here try and tell me how I should. You're gonna tell me how the world views Greta Thunberg. You're telling me how we should view Greta. You're telling me. How dare you? Unbelievable. Off topic, but fabulous. Trump just filed a $15 billion with a B libel and defamation suit against the New York Times. Source: Choose Social. Okay, all right. Dave Smith is a tard. I agree with you on that. But if he says something good, I gotta tip my cap. Sentry Bro, thank you for this super chat. Much obliged to you, my friend. Much obliged indeed. We're getting near our goal here. We're getting very, very near the goal. So close. So close. Okay.
Love it. Now, you can't.
That wasn't what I wanted. There's more hateful rhetoric from the left that we should call out. So here's Joe Borelli, New York City Council member.
It would be good if one Democrat does what I have come on this network and said a million times. And I've looked at my own party, and when they're wrong, I've addressed that and said that and agree with them. But a lot of people who are of the left, of the Democratic Party, use the term Nazi, use the term fascist. Southern Poverty Law Center called Turning Point USA a right-wing extremist group, something.
Everyone's a right-wing extremist.
Those things aren't true. And when you hear like the vice president of the United States call Trump and his supporters downstream fascists and Nazis, it would be good for someone to come out and just acknowledge what we all know, that isn't the case. I think, though, bigger picture, we have to learn to differentiate between anger and hate in politics. Anger is what gets young people out there in the streets, putting up flyers, knocking on doors, advocating for candidates. It's what gets people to run for office. It's why people voted for Barack Obama or Donald Trump or whoever. Anger is a good force in politics. Hate and that dehumanization that was just mentioned, that is the problem. When you see your political opponent as subhuman, when you see them as a Nazi, when you see them as a fascist, you can mentally justify doing extreme things. That's the line that nobody in this system should cross. And we've done this before.
And I think that's a very, very important line. I was talking about my own attitude and how I refer to people here. And I think that line between anger and hate is a very, very key distinction. It's okay to be angry, but it's not okay to hate. And I think that's something we need to remind ourselves. We should be furious. It's okay to be angry, but it's not okay to hate.
Sometimes in the commercial breaks, I like to read some of the messages that I get, routinely, and we laugh at them. But in the back of my head, and now it's to the front of my view, some of these people are crazy. Some of these people are really problematic. And the conversation I had with my wife driving over here was, whether it's worth me being a vocal Trump supporter or a vocal conservative, whether it's actually worth doing it. And the answer I had was that it is. I mean, that the goal of political violence is to suppress free speech. So I think it is important for people to come out, say things that others find offensive, that others find, upset their core. That's part of the process. But I will tell a story, and I'll say who it is. Zoran Mamdani texted me today. And he is someone I've been right here in this chair criticizing, and I criticize him on many outlets. And he texted me something I said about him and another candidate. And we exchanged text and we had a laugh about it. And we said, great, see you soon. And I wish more people knew that the worst thing I want to happen to Zoran Mamdani is I want him to lose the race. And I do. I want him to lose. I don't want anything bad to happen to him. I think it would be beneficial if the talking heads of the world expose some of our pleasant chats in the green room, the pleasantries. I know many people on this show are friends personally. I'll be golfing with some people I debate occasionally in a couple of weeks. It's not all life and death all the time. We can debate fiercely. We can try to make each other lose. That's the goal of this all. But at the end of the day, we are all Americans. We are all hopefully swimming in the same direction for.
I think that's a little hopeful. I think it's a little optimistic because I think some people really hate America. But yeah. J.H. Schwalbeck says, off topic, do you think Taylor Swift has sucked all the football out of Travis Kelce? If so, this proves she hates him. Yes, if you have not yet heard, we're gonna divert from Charlie Kirk for like 5 minutes while I rant about a bad parent. Okay? We're gonna divert for 5 minutes while I rant about a bad parent because I think this is an important thing for me to share with you. I'm gonna share with you just you'll all get to see how my brain works. Okay? Because I'm gonna share with you, where was it? Nope, that's not it. Who sent it? Who shared it with me? Someone shared this with me within the last day or two. Now I need to look and find this. It's a joke. People share with me stuff. I need to find this. It was September 11th. It was more recent than that, I think. Come on. It's not going to work unless I find this video. It's going to really annoy me if I don't find it. Maybe I saved it. Maybe I saved it. It's possible I saved it. Please tell me I saved it. I did. It would have been this morning because I saw it this morning. So I have to go back for a minute. Definitely want to share this with you. Yeah, okay, here it is. On the topic of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. If you're unfamiliar with who they are, Taylor Swift is a pretty famous singer, I think. I think she's pretty famous. And at least they made a very big deal when she endorsed Kamala. That was it. The election was over. And I think she was going to get 1 billion votes because of Taylor Swift's endorsement. That's what they told us, at least. Maybe she did. I don't know. Maybe every vote was because they were all Swifties. She got engaged to future Hall of Famer tight end Travis Kelce, who some would say is the greatest tight end who ever played, and has been pretty bad for the last couple of years. A steady decline ever since he met Taylor Swift. Ever since she started going to their games, he's really gotten much worse, noticeably worse. But there's this video here, which to me, this is horrifying. This is horrifying. I saw this video and I was like, what the heck? Everything about this video is so much wrong in this video. And I can tell you so much about this woman who's filming this video just from watching 27 seconds of what she herself uploaded to the world. So much wrong with this video.
I have the best news ever.
What? Donald Trump died?
Second best news.
What? What?
The vice president died?
Okay, third.
They don't even know his name. They don't even know JD Vance's name. They just they're hoping he's gone also.
Third best news.
That Elon Musk died?
Okay, no.
This.
No. Nobody died. My best friend's getting married.
Which one is it?
Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce got engaged. I have the best news ever.
Wow. Wow. Okay, let me share with you my thoughts about this woman here. I weep for these two poor souls who we see on camera for so many reasons. She shouldn't be uploading kids this young onto the internet. That's pretty screwed up. But forgetting that for a moment, I know a lot of people are a little bit more laissez-faire about that. And okay, I guess. No. So much is wrong with this that when she says the best news ever, the first things they're thinking of is which of my mother's enemies is dead, literally dead. Like that's what she's so excited about. That this is what she's training these pure innocent minds to think is a healthy mindset. That this infant child mother thinks that this is like a healthy thing that I should share with my children. That they should be sitting here rooting for the death of people I dislike. And encouraging them and thinking it's hilarious that when she says that something great happened, it means someone died. How sick and poisoned is this woman? But I'm going to tell you something else about this, how I know that she's an insecure child, this woman. I actually think she's probably someone who's fairly educated, and I'm judging based on the backdrop here. But they seem like, they have at least a moderate amount of they don't look like they're living on welfare based on, the big screen TV back there and the digs that they're living in. So I'm assuming that they're at least relatively comfortable. So I have to assume that she's got some sort of education here. This machshefa, this sick individual. What bothers me more than anything else, more than her poisoning her children and with thoughts of death, what is even more sick to me is that she refers to Taylor Swift as her best friend. And I'll tell you why. How childish are you that you are thinking of someone and you are training these children, not just poisoning their minds, but even the best part of you, as far as like referring to like, friendships and stuff like that, that this is how small you are, that you're so stupid and immature that you actually would refer to Taylor Swift as your friend, much less your best friend. Your best friend is Taylor Swift. Who she obviously never, Taylor Swift obviously doesn't know the hell she exists, because if she was that close, a genuine friend with Taylor Swift, some of you might say, Joe, how do you know? Maybe she actually is really friends with Taylor Swift. If so, her kids would know already. She wouldn't need to be telling them this. She would be going to the engagement and stuff like that. No. She doesn't know Taylor Swift. She obviously has just seen her music and really identifies with all the hurt and heartbreak, which tells me also that this woman almost certainly does not have a man in her life, because she's so obsessed with, the heartbreak songs of Taylor Swift about how every guy is someone who has basically, destroyed her life, because boo-hoo, Taylor Swift has had such a miserable, terrible life. So yes, one song after another, that this woman now identifies Taylor Swift as her best friend. She's a grown woman, old enough to have a kid who looks at least 10 years old, the taller one there, and old enough to have some 8-10-year-old kids. So she's like at least in her 30s, you would assume, right? Chances are, I don't know, maybe she got knocked up. But I have a feeling that with this immature mindset that she got knocked up as a teen, she probably just would have visited Planned Parenthood and these kids never been born. So I'm going to assume that no. She had a man in her life, and that this man walked out on her because he was like, she's a sick, twisted individual. And now she's dealing with her heartbreak and basically, salving those wounds, and the fact that no one wants to be around her immature ass for far too long, because she's just so ridiculously immature and poisonous and ridiculously twisted. So now this crazy woman over here is referring to my best friend is engaged, and all excited. Like, this is the best news ever. This is the best news ever. Sad life. It's sad life, and I feel so bad for these. Everything about this just made me like, I weep for your children. I weep for how twisted and broken you are, how sick you are, and how immature you are. And also the fact that you're poisoning these kids. And the best things that even when you're not filling their minds with hate, that you're basically teaching them to be as immature as possible. That you think it's a very exciting thing that your best friend, Taylor, is engaged. Like, wow. So many red flags around this woman. I don't know who she is. I don't want her to know her name. Certainly not. I wouldn't dox her if I knew her name. I'll tell you right now, this woman is messed up. Like, bad. Really bad. Oh, my God. And it manifests ultimately as like, yay, let's root for our enemies to drop dead. And Elon Musk, we should be rooting for him to drop dead. Why? Because my TV told me I should hate him. Idiot. Stupid. Child. Whew. I feel bad for these poor kids. Really feel bad. Oh, and yes, Taylor Swift definitely destroyed Travis Kelce's career. To answer your question, yes, she did. She's Jessica Simpson 2.0. Jessica Simpson was poison for Tony Romo. And watching, Mr. Butterfingers basically end the game on Sunday by just letting the game-winning touchdown just glide through his fingers into the opponent's hands. There you go. I don't know why the camera didn't pan over to Taylor for that moment, for that grand moment. I'm sure if he caught it, we all would have seen Taylor be like, "Yay!" So, why do we get to see her? And because I guess she's only there for the good times. Maybe she's not there. She's not there with him for the bad times. Yeah, she's real wife material there. I guess maybe he's a gold digger. I don't know. This video made me weep for America. Candace Owens is blaming BB for Charlie Kirk's death. Of course she is. Of course she is. On Thursday, I played a video of Jackson Hinkle and his deranged Israel Did It video about Charlie Kirk. And I dissected how stupid that was. Trust me, if Israel wanted a right-wing influencer dead, Candace Owens is way higher on that list. Way higher than Charlie Kirk ever was. Just saying. And I don't want to see anything bad happen to her. Way higher. For some reason, like it's like Israel is really, really stupid with it's like the most dangerous elite, like they're behind everything, brilliantly plotting behind the scenes, brilliantly engaging in all these different Mossad is like, brilliantly doing all those things and just incompetently stupid in who their target is. The woman is bonkers. No less so than this crazy woman I just showed you. Look at Otis's face. She knew mom is nuts. Yeah. This is a girl who's looking at her mother like, you're psycho. You're a psycho. Yeah, the younger one doesn't realize it yet. The older one is just like, maybe. I don't know. Hopefully. It's worse. Her husband's in the military. She's a pre-K teacher sending DM. She's still married? Oh, maybe that's why he stayed in the military. God. Her husband's in the military? God. Don't tell me her name. I don't want to know. Here's some more crazy leftists, though. Can Erica Kirk be next? Then the two children, placed with foster parents, will give them proper education growing up hating their parents. These people are, some of these people, not all of them, some of them are insane. Speaking of insane people, here's another one. I'll ask you this. Is this defamation?
What do you think would happen to Charlie Kirk?
It's just messed up. Totally messed up. That was messed up. Like, nobody deserved that. He definitely didn't deserve that. He was a good guy.
You think he was a good guy?
I think he was.
You
Only
think?
Good morals.
Captain Kirk. The what?
The only Kirk you recognize is Captain Kirk. I don't know Charlie Kirk. I don't know who
You
that
don't
is.
know who it is?
I don't know who that is.
I know who it was. Like,
I only know about him when
all of us have flaws. I can't really tell you what to believe in or how to feel. Like, everybody's having a human experience. Like, why knock him for having this human experience or what he believe in?
Even though he says things that are anti-women, black, all that.
What? What the hell are you talking about? I'm going to tell you something that I have no way of knowing factually is true. But when I look at Don Lemon now compared to what he looked like when he was on CNN, there's two possibilities to me, and only two. He's broken or he has AIDS. This does not, he is aging faster than any person I've ever seen. And he is aging and aging and aging. And he's either broken or he has AIDS. That's my that's opinion, not fact. But tell me if you think I'm right or wrong.
I can't judge him for that.
You can't.
I can't judge him for that.
Yeah, because you just made it up. So there you go.
But I can use judgment. He didn't deserve that.
Right.
Yeah.
He's a human being.
Yeah.
You are very spiritual.
Yeah.
You're very spiritual. No, you're just a psychotic lunatic who just defamed Charlie Kirk.
No,
I can't go left. I can't go left with that.
No, you sound like, you mean left, going left, not left.
Because I'm
right.
humanity.
Yeah.
I'm humanity and left first.
No, I love that. So the first person I spoke to here didn't want to be on camera, and he said, I can't judge him because I'm not God. And so let him, let whatever the reaction is, if the government wants to give him a state-like funeral, if they let him do it because...
So he's trying to gin up her anger by saying they're going to give him a state-like funeral, which there is talking about giving him respect in the Capitol. Here's the thing. You want to know why he deserves that respect? Because he is a civil rights leader. That's why. He's a civil rights leader. Would you say Martin Luther King deserves it? What makes him any less than Martin Luther King? What makes him any less than Martin Luther King?
God is the only judge. And
yeah, like nobody really can judge him.
Yeah.
And frankly, on a personal level, as far as his personal values and how he treated the individuals in his life, he was a far greater human being than than Dr. Martin Luther King. Now, I have a great deal of respect for what Dr. Martin Luther King accomplished, pushed forward. I think that was necessary for his time. I respect that. You know, I can respect the greatness in an individual. But as far as, lionizing an individual, I don't think anyone would. I think if you look at the women in their lives, I'm sure that the women in Charlie Kirk's life were far more were treated far more with far more respect and dignity than the individuals in Dr. King's personal life.
And like I kind of like seen him before all of this happened, but I don't see what everybody else was seeing. So
in other words, I know you're full of crap, Don Lemon.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, that's how you feel. It's nice to see you.
Idiot. Yeah, you're gonna say HIV. There's Kelly Keegan. Sick. Idiot. She's running for council in Northampton County District. Be a council member. And this is how they're radicalizing people. The day after Charlie Kirk's murder, this guy visited Georgia Tech.
The day after Charlie Kirk's murder, we're here at Georgia Tech University in Atlanta, Georgia. And the first thing I see when I come to the campus is the fall of the Trump fascist regime beginning November 5th, 2025. RefuseFascism.org needs to be investigated. 2028 is way too late. Trump must go now. If you walk with me here, we have another sign. This is the scary part. The time has come for the fall of the Trump fascist regime beginning November 5th. No, in the name of humanity, we refuse to accept a fascist America. All over the campus, similar signs. No, in the name of humanity, we refuse to accept a fascist America. RefuseFascism.org, followed by a sign that we already read. This is happening all over this campus. So you got to ask yourself, when you see posters like this nonstop, what are they advocating for? Are they inciting certain events that we have seen recently? The time has come for the fall of the Trump fascist regime. The time has come. I want to say that again. The time.
What are they advocating for? Because, it's not like he's running for election again.
Time has
I'm saying 2028 is too late, so they want him removed beforehand. What are they calling for?
Come. That is what left-leaning organizations on college campuses at Georgia Tech are propagating to college students. So when I walk around and I ask students, do you condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk? And they say no, it's most likely because of stuff like this.
I don't know if it's those billboards, but that's basically consistent with where they're already holding at. That's in Georgia, deep south. There's another lunatic. We're not going to watch all of her rant, but Jameel Hill.
The reason he was labeled a white supremacist is because he believed in the superiority of white people.
Idiot.
Which is why he said that he would be concerned if he saw a black pilot.
That's not why he said that.
Which is why he said that he questioned the brain processing of brilliant minds such as Joy Ann Reid and
Joy Reid's not brilliant.
Ketanji Brown Jackson.
She's not brilliant either. Not by law standards, not at all.
Because he ultimately believed in the superiority of white people.
No, actually, his point was how DEI makes you question these people. In fact, I was going to pull this clip up, but I need to refute this woman right here and now. So we're going to right here, right now. There's another clip that I have of someone else saying the same stupidity. This is Jeffrey Mead. A rapidly growing, properly so, right-wing influencer Jeffrey Mead watching someone else's video.
Charlie Kirk's death has led me to an uncomfortable conversation that I want to facilitate. To my white brothers and sisters, how would you hope your minority friends respond to the celebration of Charlie Kirk's life when he has very publicly said things like this?
I live like a capitalist every single day, Shank. I live as a capitalist. Because of DEI, it begs the question when you see a black pilot, you wonder, you say, I hope they are qualified.
His point is how damaging DEI is, obviously. Because of DEI, if I see a black pilot, I wonder, oh, okay, if they got in here because of DEI, that means they don't have the same qualifications as everyone else who had to fly this plane, and now I'm scared. Whereas if you don't have DEI, then you see a black pilot and you assume, oh, okay, they must be as qualified as anyone else, and you don't have those thoughts. It's so obvious what he means here, but these race baiters who are trying to portray and besmirch Charlie Kirk when he can no longer defend himself are basically desperate to try and say, don't mourn for him. And I'll tell you right now, you show disrespect to women. You show disrespect to black people, Robin. You show that disrespect. Not me, you. You show it. The DEI advocates show it. Because you basically are saying to yourselves, F them. Who cares about the ones who actually earn it? Who cares about the ones who don't need to have a president come out and say, I don't care who I'm naming, but the next Supreme Court justice is going to be a black woman, automatically saying this is going to be a DEI hire. Whoever it is going to be a black woman. There are plenty of black women who are far smarter than I am. Plenty of women, plenty of black people who are far more intelligent than I am, far more capable in an infinite number of ways. But with your twisted, childish perspective that you get from your leftist leaders, you hear my words and pretend that I have issues with black people or women, much as these morons are pretending that Charlie Kirk has an issue, whereas you're the one who ends up spitting on them. You're the one who ends up disrespecting them. And the reason you end up spitting on them and disrespecting them is because you say we need to put them in positions, put some of them in positions, even if they don't earn it by employing DEI. And that's exactly what Charlie Kirk's point is. And his point is not only is fairly obvious, and he's far from the first person who uttered it. In fact, the one person who really despised it was Clarence Thomas, because he actually lived through that bigotry that people assumed that he only got into a top-tier law school. He only got into Harvard because he was black, when that was not the truth. So he knew how damaging it was. He knew how terrible it was. But you sit here advocating for this and then pretending that folks like me or people who are my social media superiors for great reasons, like Charlie Kirk, that's racist or misogynistic, and this is twisted. You have it backwards. I care more about black women than you do. Much more. Because you're all too happy to have black women, blacks and women, basically get treated and regarded as crap, because we won't say it's stunning and beautiful that if they're not qualified, they're going to get a job, which is what DEI advocates for. So you want to sit there and pretend that, oh, it's totally fine if I have a black female surgeon who actually is not nearly as qualified as a lot of other people who are white or Asian, and they can't get the job because we need to hire a certain number of black female surgeons. But yeah, sure, go ahead. Cut me open on this life-saving surgery. Go ahead. It's because it's stunning and brave to stand up there for DEI. It's twisted, it's backward. It's not love to tell someone that they're better than what they are. It's actually a form of cruelty. You are cruel, not you individually, but anyone who holds these particular perspectives are cruel. Very, very cruel. Because not only are you actually harming the people who get these positions through DEI, but because they now are coming into a position that they're really not quite as qualified for as they ought to be, but you're actually screwing it up for people who are incredibly qualified, and everyone's looking at them and naturally questioning, oh, maybe they just got here because of DEI. Maybe they're not really qualified. You are spitting on the entire black community. You're spitting on women. You make life suckier for all these people. I am perfectly happy to go out there and say that there are plenty of women who are far smarter, far more talented, far more capable in an infinite number of ways than I am. Far more athletic, probably could kick my ass. Far better attorneys. Far better podcasters. Far more entertaining. Every way possible. There are an infinite number of women out there and minorities and mixtures of black women out there. But you have to sit there and spread this ridiculous, insidious type of thing that because I'm actually sharing truth here, I'm sharing reality about what human perspective is when you employ a backward, retarded type of solution to what you perceive to be a problem, that you are now somehow, you're the enlightened virtue signaling, oh, I'm so good, I'm the noble one, I'm caring for other people here. And you come out here into my chat and you start spreading this crap here about how I hate black women who are successful. No, I'll tell you right now, there are plenty of black female attorneys out there, black female judges who I've seen who are really great judges. When I've talked about judges I've argued in front of. I actually identified two or three of the best judges I've ever appeared in front of who are black women. So no, I don't care if they're female. I can tell you that Amy Coney Barrett is a brilliant philosopher when it comes to law, with a phenomenal memory which probably puts mine to shame. And I will still tell you that, like Chief Justice Roberts, that she is a corporatist, because I actually care about sharing truth perspectives. And when I tell you Ketanji Brown Jackson, compared to her Supreme Court peers, is an incompetent who doesn't understand what a judge is supposed to be, which is why she goes out there and publicly will make statements that her role is to sit there as a change for what she believes to be right. I say, to hell with her. That's a screwed up position that no Supreme Court justice should ever have. And I'll tell you the same thing. I'll tell you, when I see Chief Justice Breyer say things that I think are stupid, I call that out as being stupid. But because I actually identify a woman, you have to as being shortchanged in a particular area. It's like you have to turn it into your insecurity. Basically, makes say, "Oh, Joe hates women. Oh, Joe hates black women." It's crap. So no, what you're saying is defamatory. And it's out, and what you're saying is actually hurting black people and women collectively. Whereas I actually care about them advancing successfully, being great at what they do. Whereas the ones who are not properly qualified, the same way if it was a white man who's not properly qualified, I say that guy's a jackass and shouldn't be there. You're the one who gets fixated about race and gender. I'm simply saying that the fixation on race and gender is damaging to the very people you're aiming and purporting to help.
If I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman, I wonder, is she there because of her excellence? And Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously.
Refer to Asian individuals by the C word, a word too violent for me to even utter.
We started this whole thing off wrong. I would suggest you do some research and get some context about things before you start formulating your opinions. For one, he didn't call anyone the C word. He called the man by his name. He was talking to the man whose name is Cenk. Cenk was speaking out of turn from the crowd, saying something to Charlie that was not true. Now, you can argue Charlie lost his self-control, which I think he did. I think he should have handled it a little bit better, but he wasn't calling anybody the C word. So again, we're starting this whole thing off with misinformation. Now, let's let you continue.
Refer to Michelle Obama and Ketanji Brown Jackson of the Supreme Court, both Harvard graduates, as not having the brain processing
Michelle Obama was never on the Supreme Court.
Power to be taken seriously.
Yes, he can critique their brain processing power. Also, Ketanji Brown Jackson and Kamala Harris are both DEI hires. And I'll show you the proof here in a second. But back to brain processing power. Let's go back to Ketanji Brown Jackson when she was asked a question. Watch this.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition?
No. Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
I think you and I can both agree that a woman wanting to be nominated for the Supreme Court should be able to define what a woman is.
Especially when they're a protected class. So that's kind of an important thing.
It's not rocket science. Now let's go back to the proof of DEI. Listen to Joe Biden.
I committed that if I'm elected president, have an opportunity to appoint someone to the courts, I'll appoint the first black woman to the courts. It's required that they have representation now. It's long overdue. Secondly, if I'm elected president, my cabinet, my administration will look like the country. And I commit that I will, in fact, I'll pick a woman to be vice president.
So yes, in the 2020 primaries, Joe Biden told us what he was going to do. Ketanji Brown Jackson and Kamala Harris were both DEI hires or appointees or picks, whatever you want to say. And his DEI appointee to the Supreme Court couldn't even define what a woman is. Joe Biden didn't say, hey, I'm going to go find the absolute best person for the job. I don't care if they're a man. I don't care if they're a woman. I'm going to go find the best person for the job. He said, I'm going to put women in both positions, and I'm going to put a black woman on the Supreme Court. And that is the energy the left was trying to spread across the country. And for a while, that was spreading across the country. There are also many people on the left who try to lower standards for black people. So just because someone like Joe Biden says somebody's qualified, what is their definition of qualified? So what Charlie Kirk is saying makes perfect sense. If you know a bunch of people are getting put in positions due to the color of their skin, that begs the question, are they actually qualified? Because we know it's not about merit at this point, it's about skin color. And Joe Biden was trying to set that precedent from the top. So no, Charlie's not wrong for saying that. And also, I want to go back to...
Anyway, so I think you got the point. I think you got the point. Let me catch up here. Look, oh, this is face. She knows mom is nuts. Oh, we got that. So apparently that in fascism thing is calling for 1 million man march on Wednesday, November 5th for a nonviolent protest. Yes. Diffuse fascism is the American Communist Party. Is it? That's their slogan? I didn't know that. Charlie didn't even believe in race outside of being social construct. He thought biology were all the same. Yeah, I had a clip with that, but it would take me a minute to find it. So but I did have a clip like that. Just found you recently. I will say you are right. Thank you. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Welcome. Welcome to the following. Well, I don't know if you signed up, but you're here. So welcome. Thank you. You see Bondi's giant mess tonight? Sent DM. I did not see Bondi's giant mess. Now I'm scared to see. You sent me a DM about her giant mess. I don't see a DM from you, that's a time. I do not see a DM from you. And just so people know, I'm not making that up. It could be that it just comes through slow. I don't know why it does this. But if you look at my private messages, oh, there it is. Just did come in. Oh, gods, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. You know, this is what I didn't want to see.
There's free speech, and then there's hate speech.
Nope. 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 There's no such thing as hate speech. No.
And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie in our society.
Do you see more?
No, 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 no. There's no such thing as hate speech. Stop with that. There's no hate speech. There's one standard, Brandenburg. Brandenburg is the standard. It's a perfect standard. One of the most insightful things that the Supreme Court ever came up with was their yardstick for what is incitement. Spelled completely different from insightful. One's got a C, one's got an S. But one of the most insightful things the Supreme Court ever came up with was their yardstick that they came up for incitement. There has to be a danger that is proximal in both time and location for it to be deemed incitement. You know where Supreme Court defined hate speech? Never. No. There's no such thing. Free speech means don't try stopping what you deem to be hate speech, because what you're calling hate speech today when your side is in power, that wheel quickly turns and turns back on anyone who disagrees with Anthony Fauci is engaging in hate speech. That's what happens next. Only won't be Anthony Fauci then. It'll be some other person who you can't stand. Anyone who disagrees with President Woke, Madam President Woke is now engaging in hate speech. No. Do not foist that on us. Do not saddle us with this. No, I will speak out against this. I don't care if it's my side that's in power. No. I don't care. I don't care if they're saying anti-Semitic, things about Jews. Despite the fact that I am a practicing Orthodox Jew, I don't care. That is not hate speech. Do not start going there. If they cross the Brandenburg threshold, then go after them. And if they don't, then you have to let them go. Don't start trying to criminalize that. That's you. This is exactly what Charlie Kirk would not want you to do. He would be screaming about this louder than anyone.
Law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people, so we show them that some action is better than no action.
We will absolutely target you, go after you if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle. There's free speech, and then there's
because of Charlie Kirk. You start promoting Islam because of Charlie Kirk also? What the hell does that mean? Did you listen to the man? Gosh. People with an actual brain know what you're saying, Joe. It's my experience that the most racist people on the planet are of liberal bent. I have said many a time, I am not sufficiently racist to be a Democrat. Liability of hospitals and employees, nurses, the malpractice insurance companies must have a panic attack, worrying that you didn't get top-tier treatment because your nurse checked your socials. That's actually the next story I was going to. Literally the next story I was going to go to. I have so many more of those people on the left, so many more of them. But I don't have time for it because I'm already way past where I'm supposed to be. So, you know how we were talking earlier about how they made Charlie Kirk go viral? This is how you make a right wing girl go viral. You know how you make a right wing girl go viral? Well, first it helps if she's pretty attractive. That's Lexi Kunzel, a nurse. A nurse at Englewood Health in New Jersey says she was suspended without pay for calling out a surgeon who cheered for Charlie's assassination. So the doctor who cheered for murder is cool, but the nurse who says maybe we shouldn't celebrate murder gets suspended? What's happening? That's how this story began. But that's not where it ended. She got tons of money in support, as you can imagine. Where was it? Here it is. Breaking. New Jersey surgeon Dr. Matthew Jung, who celebrated Charlie Kirk's assassination, has now resigned. That's the doctor who she called out. And nurse Lexi Kunzel, who is suspended for calling him out, has been reinstated. Dr. Matthew Young of Englewood Health quit following Wednesday's troubling incident, which went down moments after the news of Kirk's tragic assassination. We accepted the physician's resignation, representative from Englewood Health New Jersey surgeon Dr. Matthew Young allegedly openly celebrated news of Kirk's murder in front of the hospital nurse's station and defended his words when nurse Lexi Kunzel then questioned how a person whose job is saving lives could ever cheer a death. Beautiful. I don't know if should we trust New York Post? A New Jersey surgeon who allegedly cheered Charlie Kirk's murder while at work has resigned. This is how you know you're living in Trump's America, because this would not happen in Biden's America. The nurse suspended for calling him out has been reinstated, the hospital said Monday. Dr. Matthew Young of Englewood Health quit following Wednesday's troubling incident, which went down moments after the news of Kirk's tragic assassination. We've accepted the physician's resignation, a representative from Englewood Health told the Post. That is awesome. Oh my gosh. How long is this ad? Young allegedly openly celebrated news of Kirk's murder in front of the hospital's nurse station and defended his words when nurse Lexi Kunzel then questioned how a person whose job is saving lives could ever cheer a death. Kunzel later posted about the situation on social media and was suspended, but the hospital now says she's been reinstated. The nurse is expected to work with her scheduled shifts. The Englewood Health rep said this view reports that Kunzel has been fired or suspended without pay. This doctor is a disgrace. I know that's I'm glad he deserved it in front of a patient nursing station in regards to Charlie Kirk being murdered today. You are what's wrong with the world offered to buy the department lunch as an apology. You're sick, and I'm not going to sit back and hear it. Let me know if anyone can get this story to news, because his patients deserve to know what kind of compassion he truly lacks for human life. That's what Kunzel sent out. The nurse was never fired, was never told she would be fired by Englewood Hospital, and will not miss any pay as part of our review of this matter, the representative said. We're sorry. We're sorry. We realize it sounds kind of crazy that we took the side of the person who was cheering an assassination. Young allegedly replied, I hate Charlie Kirk. He had it coming. He deserved Dr. added, according to Kunzel. Wow. Our lawsuit, which is seeking unspecified damages, said Kunzel had the audacity to question how Dr. Young can comply with the Hippocratic Oath and the American Medical Association Code of Medical Ethics while celebrating the murder of a nonviolent Christian speaker who was on the college campuses. So there you go. I don't know if this is a report that relates to it, but you get the point. Okay. Joe's like, bad Pam Bondi, bad. Smacks on bad Pam, bad Pam Bondi, bad Pam Bondi. No bad, there's no hate speech. Bad girl. Yeah, she is bad. We need to get her fired tomorrow. She should be. I blame participation trophies for everything. Speaking of participation trophies, did you see that they gave Stephen Colbert an Emmy? That's true. Because the left wanted to give him we feel bad you were fired participation trophy. You got fired for losing $40 million a year because you're that lacking in any talent. Oh, look at me hating on a white dude. Although I think he's probably gay. I think he's probably gay. Just a hunch. Speaking of lefties getting punished for their stupidity, which is where we started morphing over to now, before I get on out of here. Here is
and downplay
this Nimrod.
What I do know for sure is that, you know, Charlie was someone who once said, you know, guns save lives after a school shooting.
Just because statistically guns do save lives. Whether it's before or after a school shooting, guns do save lives. It's just a fact.
Charlie was someone who was willing to debate and downplay the death of George Floyd in the hands of Minneapolis police.
What do you mean by downplay? He said he was not a good person, which was true. Also fact. You didn't like that.
He called him a scumbag.
Because he was a scumbag. In life, he was a scumbag. He didn't deserve to die, but he was a scumbag.
Right, have no regard, downplay slavery and what Black people have gone through.
That never happened. He never downplayed it. He simply said, we're not giving reparations because we didn't do it and you didn't suffer it.
In this country, by saying Juneteenth should never exist.
It shouldn't. Juneteenth is divisive. It doesn't help Black people. It's a virtue signal that's being promoted by people who don't care about America like you.
And I think, you know, there are a lot of people who are out there talking about him just wanting to have a civil debate.
Complete rewriting of history.
Complete rewriting. Juneteenth is not a complete rewriting of history, right? Right? A random date that you picked as being like the end of all slavery. That's not at all a rewrite of history. Idiot.
Yeah, there is nothing more effed up, you know, like than
he engaged in civil debate. When have either of you done that? You're both public figures. When have you ever done that? He was willing to debate anyone.
Than to completely pretend that, you know, his words and actions have not been recorded.
No, that we're recorded. And people can check and see that you're completely full of crap on this.
And in existence for the last decade or so. And
so those were her words. And here's the potential repercussion. Nancy Mace breaking, we're filing a resolution to strip Ilan of her committee assignments after her disgraceful remarks on Charlie Kirk's assassination. And they put forward this resolution here censuring Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, removing her from Committee on Education and Workforce and the Committee on the Budget, whereas Charlie Kirk was a lifelong advocate for freedom of speech, civil political discourse, and the political engagement of youth, whereas Charlie Kirk was a man of deep faith, a husband, and a father of 2 young children, whereas on September 10th, Charlie Kirk was assassinated on the campus of Utah Valley University while exercising his First Amendment right to freedom of speech, whereas on September 11th, one day after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, Representative Ilhan Omar gave an interview on a Zaytao town hall with Mehdi Hassan in which she smeared Charlie Kirk and implied he was to blame for his own murder. Whereas on September 12, 2025, 2 days after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, Representative Ilhan Omar reposted a video on X, formerly known as Twitter, which disparaged the character of Charlie Kirk and those mourning his death. Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X states Charlie Kirk is dead, and before the body got cold, the far right propped his corpse up as a cudgel for their holy war. Whereas the video representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X further states, don't be fooled, these people don't give a single crap about Charlie Kirk. They're just using his death to further their Christo-fascist agenda. Whereas the video Representative Ilhan Omar reposted on X further states Charlie Kirk was a reprehensible human being. He enacted his political agenda by preying on weak-minded people. He took complex socioeconomic issues and simplified them by pointing fingers out at outgroups, demonizing those groups. She's a complete lunatic, this sicko. They go through more of her videos where she did this over and over, where she blamed Charlie for his own murder. Whereas Clause 1 of Rule 12, the Rules of the House of Representatives, provides a member, delegate, resident, commissioner, officer, employee of the House shall behave at all times in a manner that shall reflect creditably on the House. And whereas Representative Ilhan Omar's actions in the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk are reprehensible and affect the dignity and integrity of the proceedings of the House and do not reflect credibility on the House, now therefore be it resolved that Representative Ilhan Omar, Minnesota, be censured, that she be forthwith present herself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure, that she be censured with the public reading of this resolution by the Speaker, and is hereby removed from the Committee on Education and Workforce and the Committee on the Budget of the House. I hope it passes. Shame her. Shame her. Shame, 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 shame. Disgusting human being. Terrible. Terrible. I can't believe I'm 2 hours and 34 minutes and I haven't even gotten to 2 major stories yet. All right, I'm not going to play her whole video, but just to show you how sickening some of this is. This is his widow when she first addressed the public. I'm not watching the whole 16 minutes, but we'll get a few minutes of it.
Good evening. My name is Erica Kirk. Charlie Kirk is my husband. I first want to thank the local, state, and federal law enforcement who worked tirelessly to capture my husband's assassin so that he can be brought to justice. I want to thank the first responders who struggled heroically to save Charles's life, and the police who acted bravely to make sure that there were no other victims on that terrible afternoon. I want to thank the officers who have protected our Turning Point USA family these past 2 days. And I want to thank the Turning Point USA board, the COO, Justin Strife, and my husband's chief of staff, the amazing Mikey McCoy, for all their work in these terrible days to be the stability for our family and for the wider Turning Point USA family as well. My heart is with every one of my husband's employees who lost a friend and a mentor. I want to thank the staffers of his amazing Charlie Kirk show, who helped him broadcast from this studio, this chair. Every day he loved it. He loved what he did. I want to thank the millions of people who have shown their love for Charlie here in Phoenix, across America, and worldwide. I want to thank my husband's dear friend, Vice President Vance, and his phenomenal wife, Usha, for their love and support. You guys honored my husband so well, bringing him home. You both are tremendous. I want to thank President Trump and his incredible family for the same. Mr. President, my husband loved you. And he knew that you loved him too. He did. Your friendship was amazing. You supported him so well, as did he for you. 2 days ago, my husband, Charlie, went to see the face of his Savior and his God. Charlie always said that when he was gone, he wanted to be remembered for his courage and for his faith. And one of the final conversations that he had on this earth, my husband witnessed for his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Now and for all eternity, he will stand at his Savior's side, wearing the glorious crown of a martyr. Charlie loved life. He loved his life. He loved America. He loved nature, which helped him always bring him closer to God. He loved the Chicago Cubs. And my goodness, did he love the Oregon Ducks. Want me to say go Ducks, so I have to since they play on Saturday. So go Ducks. But most of all, Charlie loved his children, and he loved me with all of his heart, and I knew that. Every day I knew that. He made sure I knew that every day. Every day he would ask me, how can I serve you better? How can I be a better husband? How can I be a better father? Every day. Every day. Such a good man. He still is a good man. He was the perfect father. He was the perfect husband. Charlie always believed that God's design for marriage and the family was absolutely amazing, and it is. It is, and it was the greatest joy of his life. And over, he would tell all these young people to come and find their future spouse, become wives and husbands and parents. And the reason why is because he wanted you all to experience what he had and still has. He wanted everyone to bring heaven into this earth through love and joy that comes from raising a family. It's beautiful. Charlie always said that if he ever ran for office, I know a lot of you asked if he ever was going to, but privately he told me if he ever did run for office that his top priority would be to revive the American family. That was his priority. One of Charlie's favorite Bible verses was Ephesians 5, verse 25. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. My husband laid down his life for me, for our nation, for our children. He showed the ultimate and true covenantal love. I will never, ever have the words to describe the loss that I feel in my heart. I honestly have no idea what any of this means. I know that God does, but I don't. But Charlie, baby, I know you do too. I know you do. So does our Lord. And our world is filled with evil. But our God, you guys, our God is so good. He's so incredibly good. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. Already I have seen the worldwide outpouring of love for my husband. I've heard the testimonies from people my husband inspired to get married, to start families, to seek out a relationship with God. It's the most important one of all.
Okay, so as I said, you get a general feeling for what she's saying here. And here's how one individual on the left thought was appropriate to respond. This is Chelsea God's 2.
He was my husband, and I loved him, and he loved me almost as much as he loved America. And I want to thank all of the brave, heroic first responders who responded heroically.
Sick.
These evildoers have no idea what they've done.
Sick,
They have
twisted woman.
unleashed a battle cry. This widow,
Sick,
the tears
twisted.
of this widow are a battle cry across the whole world and this country. And we will convert everyone to Jesus through thinly veiled threats and possibly violence and threats of violence.
Sick.
My husband, he loved this office. He was in here every day. He loved what he did. He loved it.
Sick. How sick in the head can someone be? How twisted? Like seriously. How twisted can someone possibly be? Like seriously. Seriously. Like, he's not even buried yet. And you're mocking his widow? He's not even He's not even in the ground yet. And you're mocking his widow? You're trying to embarrass his widow? The guy was 31 years old, married for 4 years with 2 tiny kids. And you're mocking his widow? Like, how incredibly sick and twisted that you think that's clever? You think that's funny? Like making fun of the fact that she's like that's she's like jumping into like a whisper. When people are in mourning and they're trying to express themselves, and she's in a position, I'm talking about Erica Kirk now, where obviously she feels a need that she has to address the public. People want to hear that she's okay, like hear from her thoughts. So she makes a statement. And when she's obviously, and like any person who actually has a soul, a heart, is in like a place of utter mental and emotional chaos, feeling a torment that no human should have to feel. And you're sitting and you come up here thinking that you're being clever, that you're being so funny. I mean, it's horrifying. And then you have this sick dude.
Grieving widow of Charlie Kirk, when she posts an image of her at the coffin side. Why do you think that constitutes turning down the temperature?
You can't turn down the temperature on your own. The president of the United States is
inflame
not
the temperature.
able.
You're
to
mocking his
it's
widow.
Already inflamed.
You're
What are you
mocking his
talking
widow.
about? We've had multiple political assassinations over the past year. What do you mean it's turning up the temperature?
Why did you mock his widow?
Online because
Why did you mock his widow?
Because she's being used as a political weapon right now
Wow.
for conservatives to continue. What do you mean? Wow, she's literally doing.
Her husband just got
ads
murdered
on email. Yeah, and she's.
How self-involved is this dude? How self-involved? How self-involved that he feels like threatened or bothered that people are sympathizing with Charlie Kirk's widow. Like, how sick and demented are these people? And I want to be crystal clear. I'm not talking about everyone on the left. Not at all. Quite the contrary. Anna Kasparian in this session here holds herself out like a champion. As like a legitimate human. And this is a woman, as I started the show, I mentioned at the like 9 years ago, in November 2016, she sounded like a Looney Tune lefty, yelling at women, "I'm better than you. How dare you vote for Donald Trump? Are you stupid? Are you dumb? Yeah, I'm better than you." That was her 9 years ago. And now she's morphed into something completely different, where she can see how twisted folks on her side of the aisle are. And I know that she's drifted a little bit more towards the right over the last 9 years or so, as she's, had as the stunning reality of the failures of leftist policies have started smacking her in the face and on the fanny. But it's sickening. It is sickening how he's so self-involved. Her husband, you're sitting here bothered that people are sympathizing, so you have to mock a widow.
Using it to drive up recruitment for
and
a
you
political
can't even
movement.
condemn the murder. You won't condemn it.
Can't even tell his
You see, he still won't right here and now.
side
You're
to
so
turn the temperature
deranged
down.
about Trump
that
you cannot condemn the murder because you're waiting for Donald Trump to say something.
Off of it. It's
All right, let me bring
crazy
in
to me that
Jack.
Republicans can't
Let me
do
bring
it.
in. Let me bring in Jack
What a joke of the
Posobiec.
world.
I got to
And
say,
there's still no answer to that question, Piers. You can't say
Which question?
Why can't Donald Trump simply go on TV and say we all need to turn it down?
No. That would be wrong. That would be the wrong thing to say. I'm here I tell my audience to turn it down. I accept on myself to turn it down. I tell people that they should not get into retribution or violence. But no, that's a choice that each individual on the right has to make. But the reality is, this is not something where people on the right have been going out there and getting violent. This is where basically you see lunatics who have been going out there shooting up Annunciation Church, shooting up kids in prayer, engaging in assassinations, and you're sitting here like everyone needs to tone it down. It's like shooting people and then shooting someone who stands up for Second Amendment rights and say, you see, shouldn't you agree with me now that we need to have gun control? Motivating, ratcheting up their own side to get violent, and then when they get violent with guns, saying, you see, everything we've been saying is right. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, the audacity. Think about that for a second. So why are you so mad at him? Because he said we should have freedom of guns. So now you're going to tell people they're a sicko, and you're basically giving license to them and rationalizing he's a fascist, he's a danger, he's a threat to democracy, he's a threat to your life, he's a threat to every one of us. So then when one of your own psycho people, you wouldn't do it yourself, one of the people who is psycho follows you, goes out there and says, wow, he is a sicko, I need to stop him. And then in their demented way goes out there and shooting up schools or assassinating people. And then you say, aha, you see, we were right on the gun issue. No, you just basically, it's like you fire a bomb and then tell people how dangerous bombs are. You load everything up in the bomb and tell everyone how dangerous the bombs are. Sicko. And then this clown comes along and says, I'm justified in mocking his widow, mother of 2 orphan kids, who your side just went and butchered for absolutely no justifiable reason. And you sit there saying, well, you need to tell us to ratchet, you need to tell your own side to ratchet down. Shut the hell up, you jackass.
Like Biden could.
So he's justified in being a complete total douchebag because he wants Trump to come out and basically tell his own side that they need to tone it down when it's not his side that's so ratchet up that they're butchering people in the streets. And I know that there was this one incident with the Minnesota lawmaker. She became famous because she was killed. And there's all sorts of questions as to whether or not that guy was on the left or the right. But let's assume for a moment that he is on the right. There's all sorts of weirdness in that story there. That's not that he was motivated by people on the right to go out and kill that some unknown assemblywoman from a state legislature. Idiocy.
Like Obama could.
Fine.
Like the Clintons could. Like Kamala could. Why not?
Why?
What the heck? Like Kamala could. Kamala's the one who's screaming fascist, fascist all the time.
Can't you condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk?
It's unbelievable. I'm not the president.
Why can't
even right now he can't. Even right now he can't. Even when it's being pointed out to him how insane he's being, he still can't say it.
you condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk?
Unbelievable to me.
Why can't you condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk?
Because he stands for all these psycho values. He does. He does. It's not hard to say I condemn it. Look how his brain is working there. He's trying to decide, should I give in on this? And he still can't. You can see his brain is working here. He's not a stupid man at all. It's just his brain is twisted.
Because it wasn't my side that caused it. It should be
Yes,
the
it
one.
was.
You have to play another 5 minutes and then scream fascist, 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 fascist? Threat to democracy?
That is driving up
It
the
actually
rhetoric.
was
You know,
your
no,
side
it's
that
not even
caused
true.
it. It
This
was
an
your
18
side.
This guy was raised in a white Christian
He was a
household.
radical.
And now listen to this. Oh, so let's pretend that he wasn't radicalized by trans, or that he wasn't putting there like all sorts of trans messages on there, and he didn't have some boyfriend who's a furry.
In a Christian
leftist
state.
ideology.
He wasn't radicalized by leftism at all. You have no proof of that whatsoever.
There's tons of proof of
That's
that.
what
Just
the
like one that killed
investigators are
Melissa
saying.
Was a conservative, just like the people that firebombed Shapiro's house was a conservative, just like all the J6ers were
He was not a
conservative, just like the Proud
conservative, he was
Boys
a
were conservative.
pro-Palestinian activist
Every
out of
single one.
Josh Shapiro was a pro-Palestinian activist, which, frankly, is probably someone from the left.
Of these, every single one of these people. Oh, it's Jack Versobek. What, the author of Unhuman? Another person that Charlie's put a good one, dude.
But I'll give you one last chance, Destiny, to condemn the murder of Charlie.
Look at him going a mile a minute there. I've seen that before. That's not an organic diet.
You are acting like a non-human.
Why can't I hear Donald Trump condemn violence in this
all
country?
right, you won't
Why can't I
condemn
hear
it. Okay, we've
I
all
can't hear it.
heard.
That's insane
We've
to
all
me.
heard you repeatedly refuse to
And
condemn
we've
it.
heard Donald Trump refuse to condemn
Jack
it too. But for some
Posobiec.
reason, the leftists on YouTube are a bigger deal. Unbelievable.
Yeah, what's incredible is you don't have the basic humanity to condemn it. You'd rather taunt his widow. I find that sickening.
It is sickening. It is sickening. And here's Anna going after him on it. To their utmost credit.
I don't understand you, Destiny. You have so much hatred in your heart, and at the same time, you
it's
judge
such a simple thing.
others
If you're
as being
going to
hateful.
weaponize somebody's grief against the other party, well, then of course people have a right to fight back against it. I think that she has every right to grieve in whatever way she wants, but when that grief is going to be weaponized to do recruitment, political recruitment, and further
Weaponized. So what is she doing to weaponize?
radicalization of the other side, then of course
Insane.
you not only have the ability to mock, I think you have the obligation to mock.
Obligation. It starts as like ability, and then it becomes an obligation. He's the noble one here. He's noble for mocking. Yeah, it's because he's fulfilling the obligation he has.
Okay, it's insane.
Let me understand. Let me understand your argument. So since others are using her grief to politically recruit, you think that it's okay to mock her specifically?
No, not okay. It's his duty. He's noble. He's nobly fulfilling his duty.
Since others
How
are
does that make
using
any
her grief,
sense?
she's the one who gave a 17-minute speech on TV where she talked about good versus evil. She's the one showing up in
Destiny, let me
TPUSA
explain.
ads to
let
1
me
or 2
explain
days
something to
after.
you. If someone assassinated my husband, I would not be able to have the level of composure she had during that speech. I would be out for blood. I understand why she's angry and why she said the things that she said. Okay, you need to understand what being a human is, what it's like to actually
That's why Jack Posobiec labeled you an unhuman.
lose someone that you love, that you chose to spend your life with, that you chose to raise children with, a person who was violently and viciously assassinated like that. This is why I've moved
That's fine.
away
And when
from
something I know, yes,
identifying
because
as
you got bullied online. It's so funny. It's so funny
are
that you just
so
said that you
embarrassing on
don't
the
think about
left.
how other people act to define your behavior. Your entire political ideology now is somehow defined by the people that were mean to you on Twitter.
No,
if somebody
it's
cares
not.
about somebody who's
No,
grieving,
I understood
then you tell that
what
person,
the flaws
you
on
tell
the
that
left
person,
happen to
hey,
be. The
maybe you
weakness
should
in their
step back for a
arguments.
couple of
No,
weeks.
no, it's
Maybe you
not
should
about
take
the
some
way
time
I
to
get
grieve.
treated.
You don't
I
say,
get treated
hey, let's
like
throw a
crap from
camera in
both
front
sides
of
of
you
the
and have
political
you do
aisle.
mass recruitment for our political party while everyone over here is calling for civil war. It's unhinged. When you've got people like Matt Walsh and the Daily Wire and the
we're
president
talking
of the
to
United
a
States
guy
calling
who
for
said
civil
he'd be
war.
okay with his own
When
parents.
did the president call for civil war? What are you talking about? Just like literally starts making stuff up here.
Getting killed if they went to that Trump rally where that assassination
Yeah,
attempt
and we're talking
happened.
to a
There's
woman
no
who went
reasoning
on and
with
did
you,
the whole
Destiny.
conservative media
There's
outlet with
there's
Tucker
no
Carlson
reasoning
and
with
Glenn
you.
Beck.
So there you go. Well done, Anna. Well done, Anna. Kudos. Well done indeed. This we covered, this we covered, this we covered, this we covered. I think I'm almost done here. I think I'm almost done. Okay, so I need to pull up. What is this? Did we meet our thing? I don't know if we met our threshold. I'm already 3 hours in. I think we got very close. We got close enough that I would count it, but I'm already 3 hours in. We did reach our goal. Oh my God. We did hit our goal. Da! All right, let's do We Are Charlie Kirk. I need to find it. Oh, no, regular press. Ducks. Oh, it's Destiny. Where are we? Oh, I did want to show this first. So I know a lot of you may have been seeing how the left is basically far too many people on the left have been insane. So I wanted to give you some heart, make you feel better. Make you feel a little better.
I was just fired from my job. So I've lost my job. I got called into the office yesterday. and told me that they could either fire me or I could put a resignation in, but that would look better. But they fired me, or they're getting rid of me because of my TikTok. Somebody screenshot a lot of my TikToks, and
I made some stupid comments about Charlie Kirk on the day that he was shot. I said some things on Blue Sky and on Threads that I'm sorry, not sorry for, but I said them.
Still not sorry.
And I deleted them when it was requested that I do so.
Oh, well, you deleted them. Totally justifiable if you deleted them when requested.
By my employer. And then today, on a weekend.
On a weekend.
I'm told that I am no longer employed at Microsoft.
Nice. Microsoft. That's right. Even Microsoft.
After 6 years, building the diversity, equity, and inclusion department from scratch, I lose my job because one of you, some random person, reports my posts to my.
It's almost like reported you like you hadn't gotten your proper number jabs.
The employer goes out of their way to
reported you like you left your house after curfew.
Find out where I work and takes my job, takes my security away from me for a thought, for an opinion.
For words, not for thought.
And you talk about freedom of speech like you care about it?
No, well, you can have freedom of speech. Government shouldn't punish you. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see the government punishing you. But yeah, everyone should treat you like the scum you are.
And you're just going to take my money, my life, my food off my plate because I don't like Charlie Kirk?
No, because you celebrate murder. That's why. You celebrate assassination. You celebrate kids becoming orphans.
That's not okay.
No, it's very okay.
It is not okay.
It's proper.
To target me because I felt joy that day. I can't help how I feel. I felt joy. That's me. That's what I believe. That's what I think of him. I can't help that. So I don't deserve a job? You
fired from my fucking job. I was just fired from my job. I was just fired from my job. I was just fired from my fucking job. I was just fired from my fucking job. Now I have nothing but this. I have nothing but this website. I have nothing anymore. I have nothing. I have nothing anymore. I have nothing anymore. I have nothing anymore. I have nothing anymore. Ah! 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 Ah!
So there you go. That should make you feel a little better. And on that note, it gets even better. Breaking: over 100 teachers in Texas will have their teaching certifications suspended and will be rendered ineligible to work in the state's public schools after endorsing the assassination of Charlie Kirk or inciting further violence, per Governor Greg Abbott. We don't need people who cheer for murder. You know, shouldn't be teaching our children. Uh-oh. Okay. Maybe they were. I don't know. Go Ducks. Hey, University of Oregon is my alma mater. There you go. I'm 64. I've never seen a more fake statement. Okay. Maybe it was fake. I don't know. I think she's emotionally like just in a weird place. I admit that the way she was talking was unusual, but I think people react to death in ways that are bizarre. And I saw that in my own conduct, long before I was doing social media. People react to each death in ways that they can never possibly anticipate. Depending on the nature of the death, the nature of the relationship they have with the individual who died. I grew up around the corner from my grandparents, my mother's parents. When my grandmother died, I could not stop crying. I remember thinking, I don't want to be crying anymore, and I could not stop crying. Through her funeral, we drove to the grave. When we got to the grave, I was still crying and crying and crying, and we buried her. And Orthodox Jews, when we bury by hand. Like physically hand. By shovels. What I'm saying is, we do the digging. We don't let like the graveyard crew do it. It's like considered a very big honor and like as a positive commandment to assist the dead in their burial. So we sort of treasure the opportunity to fulfill that commandment to help bury our dead and lay them to rest. So, and I could not stop crying. I got to speak even just to read a passage from Psalms. And I was bawling through it at the funeral. We drove to the cemetery, still bawling. I was in my early 20s. I was very close to her. And we buried her. And as soon as we finished, I was done crying. I was crying throughout the whole burial. As soon as we finished burying her, I never cried. I never shed another tear. And I always thought it was the weirdest reaction. Like, why, just that uncontrollable emotion that just never opened back up. I still feel sad when I think about her. I miss her. She's in a much better place now, but I miss her. She was a very inspirational person, much smarter than me. My grandfather, when he passed, I didn't cry at all. Not a single tear. So I think that how we react to particular deaths, we never know how we're going to react. And we can't really control it. And some people act in ways that we look at them, you're like, really? That's how you're reacting? Like, it's weird. And I'm not going to deny the fact that when I saw her speaking, that was the initial reaction I had when I saw Erica Kirk. And I remembered, when it comes to dealing with someone you love, it comes across in ways that seem unexpected. But I know that none of us have ever experienced the type of loss that she just experienced. Even someone whose spouse died relatively early in the marriage, it wasn't in that public way, where they're a public figure and dealing with all of that, which definitely changes the equation. Plus, the nature of your relationship with your spouse is no two relationships between spouses are identical. So the nature of the impact that I had on her, it's not something that you would script in a movie. I admit that it could look unusual. I'm not surprised that some deranged demonic figure from the left mocked it. But if you think it through for a minute and you actually realize how death affects each of us differently, I think you understand that. I don't think she was fake. I think that she was just acting in ways that humans react that are unpredictable. I hope she got dragged for that, shunned and shamed. She's talking about the one who mocked her. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Apparently, Colonel West stormed the show. They brought on Destiny's substitute. I don't have time to go back on that. Her husband's, I appreciate the DM though. Her husband's entire movement, reason, purpose, other than his family, was to bring people to conservative movement. So of course, the way she's going to grieve is by continuing that mission. It's true. It's true. She refers to him as still being alive. So of course she's going to do that. It's a great point. Great point. Like it's a way she keeps him alive in her own heart and mind. Makes perfect sense if you think about it from that. If you actually put yourself in her shoes. Destiny is politically sacrificing himself for the sake of ideology. No chance Trump did call for union and Destiny would even take it seriously. He's happy Kirk is dead, but he's not satisfied. Oh, of course he's not satisfied. We're going to get into that right now. When my baby died, I was a walking zombie. I was total shock and disbelief. Then I began drinking, which only lasts for 1 week. Yeah, like I said, we never know how we're going to react to a death. And there's no two that are the same. So, Bill Dozer, who rated me earlier, dropped in here and said, "What's up, my diggers?" Good to see you, Bill Dozer, and thank you for the raid, brother. And says, Jackie Kennedy is the closest I can come up with to what Erica Kirk is experiencing. She wouldn't change clothes, and was going through motions. Yeah. But you also don't know the nature of the relationship between them, between husband and wife, which affects how you're feeling emotionally. And you're right, that she was, as far as public figure, being publicly assassinated and the whole world like there, and, you know, the leader of a movement, which I would say John F. Kennedy was, you know, considered an icon in his own ways, although not really civil rights, but certainly like everything about what he meant to people. Yeah. But he was also a president, which in certain ways, you know, was far more prestigious than Charlie Kirk, obviously. But also his personal relationship, you know, he was philandering, supposedly. Everyone says he was philandering around. So the nature of the relationship she's going to have with him is going to be different than a guy who's spending every day asking how he can be a better husband. So and that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no way anyone's going through what she's going through. Yeah, so I want to get into this, which is no, not this one. He's happy Kirk is dead, but he's not satisfied. My A's bias. Maya's bias. My A's bias. I want to get to this of and fulfill my goal. I said I spent a half hour on this, so I guess it's gonna be a long show. I was watching this and I immediately had a lot of thoughts about this video, which was put out by the Sam Hyde Show called This Is You. And I was just like, I want a podcast like this. That's how impressed I was.
For your daughter, but this is you. This is your sister, your wife, your daughter, but this right here is you. This is your sister, your wife, your daughter. This is you. This is your sister, your wife, your daughter. But this is you. And this is their reaction when you are killed. This is the joy they feel when your sister is raped. When your children are castrated, brainwashed to hate you. This is their ecstasy when the floor of the subway car is awash in your blood. This is you. Make no mistake, that is a symbol, that is you. But this won't last long. They can't help themselves because they're so ugly and so low that the only joy they can experience, the only good that they can envision is to take something beautiful or innocent down to their level. And when they can't do it, the next best thing is blood. This is Charlie's family. And these are his children who will never be able to hug their dad and grow up with a murdered father. And these are the people who smugly revel in this, and they won't stop with just Charlie. The boats are burned. There's nobody coming to help. The barbarians are at the gate.
No, I just want to pause here. I'm not just going to watch his show with you, although we'll watch parts of it, but much of it. I haven't watched this yet. I literally made about this far into it. And I started thinking, like, why does he keep saying, this is you, this is you, this is you? And I realized he's right. He really is right. And this is not all people on the left. I want to be clear about this. You know, someone from the chat wrote after I was blasting Robin Dopp, okay, which I went after her pretty hard when I saw a comment that she made. I was refuting what she was saying when I was talking. She threw out a comment. So I want to be crystal clear about this. She's not someone who's celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. No, she probably has a much more similar take to Anna Kasparian, which is why when someone came out with a super chat like bashing her, I didn't bring it up because I wasn't looking to like sit here. I wanted to bash her on that particular point, and that's why I didn't want to bash her as a person. So I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right. I think her mind has and her views have been twisted. But her heart is not. But what Sam Hyde show is talking about here, this guy, I assume his name is Sam Hyde. He's saying this is you. And this is their reaction. It's not all of them. It's probably not even a majority of them. But it's far too many people on the left. It's the real leftists of the left. That is them. The hardcore leftists, that is them. And that is you. Because Charlie Kirk is a symbol of you and of me. In the same way that they want your children to hate you and everything you stand for. And they do. They're happy to see you dead. Because it's not anger, it's hate. And this is not, I'm not talking about the majority of people on the left. I'm talking about a minority of people on the left. But that minority, there is a minority there, and they're noticeable. The ones who couldn't control themselves from expressing gleefully about Charlie Kirk's death, that those people genuinely hate you and everything about you. They don't just hate Charlie Kirk, they hate you. They would be just as happy, not just as happy because you're not as influential as Charlie Kirk, but they would feel a similar type of glee in varying degrees, depending on how well they know you or how significant your microphone is. Same type of glee. It's you. But that small minority on the left are genuinely have had their minds twisted towards monstrosity. I mean, how twisted do you have to be to mock a widow? How twisted do you have to be to celebrate someone's death? You just huzzah, Charlie Kirk is dead. Ask yourself if you would, even if the thought crossed your mind, which, you know, if you heard of certain people on the left who died, or was killed even, which is worse than dying, I'm sure that there's a percentage of you which would feel a certain level of inner glee. But to express it, to feel so overcome with excitement that you have to share that excitement with the world, that is a very deep level of hatred. That is a very deep level of hatred that is not held uniquely for Charlie Kirk, but it's held for people who agree with Charlie Kirk. It's held for people who are vocal like Charlie Kirk. It's held for people who are willing to express and not willing to subjugate themselves to pop culture, leftist pop culture du jour. It's held for people who will not use other people's pronouns. It's held for anyone who would dead name rather than bending the knee and helping people live in their delusions. There is a deep level of hatred. He's right. So it's not Charlie Kirk that they were trying to kill. He was just the tip of the spear. I've said many times that all of a sudden Trump, who was a liberal his whole life and celebrated as being someone who stood up for black rights, won awards from the NAACP for what it did for the black community, all of a sudden is deemed some hardcore racist when he's running for office. And that anyone who would have successfully run for office would have been deemed, anyone who wins the nomination for the Republican Party will be deemed a racist. So yeah. And that, you know, when they're coming after him, it's really they're coming after you. And again, I want to be 100% clear. I'm not talking about most people on the left. I'm talking about a minority. But in that minority, and it's more than like a few thousand. It's more than a few thousand. I'm talking about your blue sky hardcore, you know, your hardcore pronoun changing, you know, throw everyone in jail who doesn't want to get jabbed lunatics. They really hate you. They do. It's a problem. So when he's saying this is you, he's actually speaking real truth there. But I do want to bring up one thing about this I meant to say when I first read this, which is he's not politically sacrificing himself. This is a choice he's making. And I think he feels as if it's financially beneficial for him to be edgy. Like there's a reward. There's a financial reward to those who are sufficiently edgy. And there's part of the reason why some of these people, the hardcore leftists, express the way they do, because they feel as if that's going to get them notoriety and acclaim and be deemed edgy. So my take on Destiny is not that he's self-sacrificing, that's a direction he purposefully chose for financial benefit. Maybe she is chasing money, Dick. Maybe she is. But as I think TR Greater Rex pointed out, that in chasing money and trying to further the cause along, can you not see how that's her way of keeping him alive? But she still refers to him as he is my husband, not he was. He is my husband. Can you not see that that's like, on some level, a way that she's able to like deal with this? Anyway, I haven't seen any further in here, but I liked his opening enough that I felt like it was worth giving him a half hour. So we're another 20 minutes or so to go.
This is the fall of ancient Rome that we are living through currently. And what happens in the next 2 weeks is going to determine the future of mankind. That's not hyperbole. That's just how it is.
I think that is hyperbole. He can say it's not hyperbole, but I do think it's hyperbole. I don't think that's affecting the future of mankind. Now, it could have a significant impact. We are in an interesting time, a very, very interesting time. But I would not say that this event was greater than 9/11. And 9/11 had a significant impact on this country for many years. And perhaps those of you who still, think of the Patriot Act might say it's still affecting us today. And I guess in that sense, any significant moment in history, you can also say World War II is in some ways affecting us today. But the future of mankind, it could be a significant step in you would need other significant steps to happen. And that's why I think that is hyperbole. Even if it's affecting us for several years, that doesn't mean it's the future of mankind. So I do think that's hyperbole.
A few notes before we start. I've seen some Twitter posts from people lamenting, apologizing, because their last interactions with Charlie were less than kind. And congratulations if that's you, because that's proof that you have a soul. And similarly,
I don't think people need to apologize. If people on the left who may have been mean to Charlie Kirk, I don't think they need to apologize just because he's dead. I don't think him being murdered, if I disagree with someone, I think that I should have enough respect to, express my condolences the way some people on the left did. But my thoughts about things that they said or did in their lifetime shouldn't change just because they were wrongfully butchered. I should express that it was wrong for them to be butchered and call out and condemn that. And I would. But that doesn't mean I'm changing my perspective about things they say and do. So I don't think that anyone on the left who genuinely believed that what Charlie was doing was wrong, I don't think that we should expect them to, take it back or else. But condemning would be appropriate.
We had to cut 30 minutes from the last episode of Sam Hyde Show because I called him something not nice. Some people offering their condolences, paying their respects, etc. Started off with a qualifier. Well, I didn't agree with Charlie on everything. Essentially that he wasn't based enough. And this is fine too. We all have some strain of autism that is compels us to constantly signal how based we are, and that's fine. And it's fine because we're stuck with this problem together. We're in this together. This is banter. It's for us to talk about. It's for our side to talk about. It's not for outsiders to try to use logic against us, to try to hold us to rules that they don't hold themselves to. That's all that needs to be said about it. The fact is, Charlie Kirk is a martyr. He is a Christian white martyr. If you are Christian, if you are white, if you're a shit lib who miraculously somehow still believes in free speech, Charlie Kirk died for you. And he probably would have done it, anyway. I talked to Alex Stein a lot about him. He probably still would have done it if he knew he was going to die doing it. And we are all united now in a battle for the soul of mankind. And by the way, this is why we have free speech in the first place. It's not because of some 1960s hippie commie staged faggotry that we have free speech. It's not because Mr. Jew in a bow tie went on a bus and marched on Washington. The reason we have free speech is because at pivotal stages throughout human history, Christian white men mostly have decided that, yes, actually, it would be worth dying to prove a point. That's how it happened. That's how we got this. The free speech.
Wow. I told you I didn't get more than 3 minutes into this. I will say that what he's saying is factually true. It was white Christian males and what they did in the late 18th century. I was unfamiliar with Sam Hyde, so I didn't know we were going there. I was like, this got live in a heartbeat. I was like, all right. Wow. Wow. Okay. What he's saying is factually true. It was white Christian males, primarily, almost without exception, who brought us the liberties that we have in the late 18th century. In the second half, and basically starting in the 1770s.
That you enjoy to the extent that you're able to have free speech is because of that, is because of men like this. Irony posters, anybody who's irony posting right now, I haven't seen.
I think it's interesting how he does this thing where he's like, starts his next part talking where you still don't see him talking. It's an interesting filming technique.
Too much of it, but for the sake of your own souls, you might not want to do that. And I say that as somebody who didn't always take everything as seriously as I should. And there's, you don't have to take everything seriously, but there's a wrong time to do stuff. and it might have spiritual ramifications. I'm worried for you. That's all why I'm saying it. And lastly, important thing before rocking out here, I think that we are all so smart and internet savvy that it's not possible for someone like me or like you or like little Timmy Thomas on his computer. He's got 10 Discord channels. He's a computer wizard.
Timmy Thomas is prolific on Discord.
It would be impossible for someone as smart as us to fall for any kind of psyop or emotional manipulation at a time like this. But on the off chance that this is a very small chance, on the off chance that somebody somewhere with an agenda, there's almost no chance this is happening. No. On the off chance that somebody somewhere with an agenda might be looking to capitalize on this event, spin it for nefarious purposes, very small chance this is happening. I can't see this happening. Even though...
What are you talking about? What?
We're so smart. It might behoove us to choose our words. Would you say carefully?
Cautiously, carefully, intentionally.
A degree of precision. Discriminately. Including your own internal dialogue. No matter what the result of the speculation is, the end result is the same. And that's that you, white man, are under attack. And that's that. Let's take a look at who our enemies are here. I tweeted at the Quartering because he said, I love the Quartering, he's my guy. He said, don't look at the video. You got to look at these videos. You have to know what these people are trying to do to you. You have to know, you don't even have a family. That's the thing. You don't have a family because they've set up this clown world where you're convinced not to start a family. It's economically impossible to start a family. But if you had even if you had a family, you don't even know what's been taken from you. That's what's so fucked up. You have to watch these. You have to know that there is evil out there in the world. This isn't like being 15 and watching Best Gore.
What is he talking about? Because I'm very do you guys know who this guy is? What is he talking about? I'm so confused. I like the first 3 minutes. I was like, oh yeah, that's a good point. Like I can see the tie-in and like how Trump is all of us and like Charlie Kirk is all of us, and I definitely see where he's going with that. And now and then so I committed like a half hour to listening to this, and I'm just like, I don't know what he's saying. I'm supposed to be giving my audience like some feedback. Oh God. No, I never seen him. Is it probably the 4chan? Well, I don't want to see that. That's what I thought. I thought Sam. I was like, that's not his real name, right? That's like the whole thing.
Or something that you have to know that there is evil out there in the world. There's this idea of the seen versus the unseen. And I got to say, thank God Irina Zarutska was hot.
No, it does. It calls more attention to it.
No shit.
Mm-hmm.
For every one of these people being killed who could be a relative of yours, it could be someone you cared about, it could be you. For every one of these people, there are thousands. Just alone in the UK, the girls being raped.
Mm.
Isn't it like over 100,000? How many is it? We don't see it because there's no video of it, and the media is not publicizing it.
And the details of each and every one of those are like science fiction level. I can't comprehend.
Yeah.
How bad? Like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And wait, is that true? I don't know anything. I don't know anything about this guy. This is why I can't watch things without screening it first. Okay, I'm trying to fill time because I got like another 5 minutes of it. I got another 5 minutes. I'm just like, I don't even know what the heck I'm watching now. I agree with you on that. I totally agree with you on that. A surefire to Sam when you first played him. Anti-Semite crap came out. I immediately unsubbed. All right. Okay. I think I did enough time here. I do agree that it's that he is us. I don't know if he's Sam Hyde. I don't think Charlie Kirk is Sam Hyde. Oh my God. All right. Well, I was supposed to get out of here a while ago. I'm trying to keep my promise to you guys. I'm trying to keep my promise. I promised that I was gonna go. All right, let me see what else I got here. Oh, okay. This is good. Instead of him, I have an idea. Give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute. I know what I can do. I had other stuff that I had to cut out because I was running so long. I definitely can give you. So I'll feel guilty if I left early. So we're gonna go a little we're gonna go a little further here. I have a bunch of links here that I call Good Destiny. I have Leftist Destiny and then I have Good Destiny. So I'm going to share with you some nice moments of people honoring destiny. People honoring, excuse me, Charlie Kirk. I said Good Destiny? No, I meant Good Charlie versus Good Kirk versus Bad Kirk. What is this? What is this? All right. This was at the Jet game. This is where instead of focusing on people who are negative and sowing up hate, I'm going to try and focus on some of the positives that have come since Charlie Kirk was murdered. This is at the Jet game. The Jet game. You know, the woke NFL. I can't really hear what they're saying. Look at that ovation he got. The New York crowd. I know they're football fans, so they're going to be more based than most New Yorkers. I think the Jets are the only ones to actually honor Charlie Kirk. This was pregame, which is why the stadium seems a little empty. I thought that was nice. So I wanted to share that some more inspirational moments from this weekend. I was in Dublin, Ohio. pretty big turnout there.
This man was fucking assassinated. He was not killed, he was assassinated. Because they feared his influence. They feared what he was doing. They feared the fact that he was able to get Donald Trump back into office. They feared what he could do. So they had to fucking assassinate him like the fucking piece of shit cowards that they are, because they know that if we actually have political discourse, their ideology never wins. These fucking liberals don't live in fucking reality. These fucking idiots think that there's 99 fucking genders. These fucking scumbags think that violence is the way because they know that they can't actually win through the crucible of debate. These idiots know that their ideology will never stand up when actually put pressure on it. So what did they do? They targeted them. They killed them in front of everybody. These fucking radical leftists are too fucking comfortable with burning down cities, destroying businesses, attacking people, and they're never held fucking accountable because prosecutors are scared to call BLM a domestic terrorist organization because they're scared of being called racist. Fuck that shit. Antifa, BLM, all these guys, bro, they need to all be put on fucking watch list. We need to treat these niggas like Al Qaeda.
I agree with putting Antifa on a watch list. That I agree with. Someone mentions, I think it was Kimmy. I think you brought this up earlier. How he didn't see race. Not only is he not racist, he didn't even see race. Here's Charlie Kirk talking about race.
Is this the guy you're calling a racist?
One thing that white people and black people have different biologically.
Don't change the question of this. Like DNA-wise, we are different.
No, we're not. That's a lie. It has been disproven. Front page of National Geographic 6 months ago. Racism created by society. Race is a social construct that I want to break out of.
Hold up. He doesn't even believe in race. The Oxford English Dictionary defines racism as prejudice based on race, or the belief that some races are inherently superior. But if Charlie's a racist, why is he arguing race doesn't exist? If he's a white supremacist, doesn't he need race to be real? I mean, you can't be a racial supremacist while arguing racial categories are fake. And wait a sec, race has been used to justify oppressing black people for centuries. So why is the black kid defending racial categories while the white supremacist wants to destroy them? This isn't new for Charlie. He's been saying this for years. And guess what? He's right. Here's the history of race. People always noticed skin color, but it mattered about as much as hair color. Slavery existed everywhere and was practiced by every skin color long before race was invented. Then, European colonizers needed justification for enslaving Africans. So, in the 1600s and 1700s, they invented racial hierarchy. The most influential framework came from Johann Blumenbach, a German doctor. He created the racial categories we still use today. Then, Georges Cuvier took Blumenbach's categories and ranked them, with white on top and black on the bottom. And racists ran with it. But here's the twist. Blumenbach never intended to create racial hierarchy. He was just trying to organize observable human characteristics, kind of like classifying plants. He believed we all have identical intellectual potential. He said differences came from environment and education, not biology, and those differences could evaporate over time. He was a devout Christian who believed we were all made equal. Sound familiar? Charlie Kirk consistently argued against racial categories and got called a racist. Yes, Charlie talked about race sometimes. He knew it was made up, but we live in a racialized culture. To change a culture, you must speak its language, especially when that culture keeps race alive through affirmative action and DEI. But most people never heard him in a long-form interview.
Again, I hate this racialization stuff, but it's true. Too. They force the racialization card. For the record, of course, I don't look at people in terms of skin color, but when they start categorizing me and the young men that show up to my events as toxic because they breathe, you force the race card.
I used to think Charlie was just confrontational with college kids for clicks. Then I listened to his full interviews. I realized he was fighting for hearts and minds in the battleground of ideas, and he was winning. That's why he was killed. And the tragic irony, Charlie believed in race less than many of the people calling him racist. We think we know someone from 60-second clips. We mix news with entertainment and call ourselves informed. We judge strangers from echo chambers. And that's part of the tragedy. Not just that we lost Charlie, that people can't tell the difference between hate speech and speech they hate. Fascist, racist. These words have been so overused, they've lost meaning, and it's causing a breakdown in society. I have a video essay coming out on this soon.
All right, so there you go. And I have two more for you. This is in Canada. In Canada, they're singing their future national anthem. And I'm gonna close out here with one last thing here. And here's our favorite civil rights leader actually coming up with a solution that I had never considered. I never heard him say before. I never considered, and I was like, this is a pretty good idea. Good question that I never heard an answer for. And I was like, I like this idea. Maybe we should get this going.
What policy do you support to make it easier for young people to buy homes?
Get rid of BlackRock purchasing a bunch of homes and renting them back to us.
Okay, so like seize their assets?
Not seize their assets. Make it illegal that asset managers over $500 billion can't buy single family homes.
Okay, I really agree with that. That's actually that's great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
a super simple policy fix. If you have assets under management over 500 billion or 100 billion, you should not be in the single family home business, period.
Okay.
And that's artificially boosting housing prices
I'd say 1 billion.
across the country. I believe homeownership is a moral good for all humans.
Wow, I completely agree with Charlie on this. And I would even take it a step further that you should just outlaw any corporations or hedge funds to purchase single family housing, because there is a housing crisis going on right now and a homelessness crisis. And it is not because of a lack of resource. It's because of a lack of policy decisions that have been created in order to benefit the 1% while leaving the common man out in the cold, literally.
What policy do you?
That's a great policy. And you can pick the number. But yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. All right. So I think that's what we got. I think that's where I'm landing my plane. I hope you will join me tomorrow evening. I have a full week this week with you guys. So I'll be here, God willing, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday. Next week, I start my Jewish holidays. Not this week. This week, I'll be here all week, God willing. Next week, I start my Jewish holidays. So I'm probably going to be streaming on the weekend also. Let's try and grab a couple extra days. And try and grab a couple extra days because next week we start the Jewish holidays season. So I think it's time for me to start getting back to working weekends. That's just how it's gonna have to be. So some of you may like that, some of you may not care, but if you're around, I hope you'll tune back in. If you're not here, please like. If you haven't, please like, share, subscribe, drop a comment, and you can even ask me why I always close my show with this, which is lab meat is not meant for you. It's meant for they, them. Don't eat the lab meat. You don't want the lab meat. And obviously, no matter how they spice it up or whatever relish, mustard, or ketchup or barbecue sauce they throw on it, not eat the bugs. Don't do it. Don't eat the bugs. Bugs are not for you. Don't eat the bugs. Have a good night, my friends. And as always, Godspeed.